Chapter 2041 Time is extremely small. In the years that followed, Yi Tian also had to cultivate the ultimate Tao and continuously improve the realm of the ultimate Tao. Originally, Yi Tian planned to cultivate the space extreme way first, but now he has changed his mind. He wants to major in the time extreme way, because he copied the time extreme way ancestors. If he cultivates the time extreme way, the speed will be very fast. Ji Dao ancestral Fu seems to be born for Ji Dao, so it is very suitable for comprehension of Ji Dao. The ancestral gift of the time pole allowed Yi Tian to reach an incredible level in the cultivation of the time pole. The master of the stone pupil has the ancestral gift of the time pole, no wonder he has cultivated the time pole to the perfect state. Yi Tian secretly said. How terrifying is the difficulty in trying to cultivate an extreme path to the perfect state. It can be said that among the perfect masters of the real realm, there are very few who can cultivate the extreme way to the perfect state, and only those who have the corresponding extreme ancestors can easily do it. And now, Yi Tian can do it too. Moreover, his own talent is far beyond that of the Lord of Stone Eyes, and he has obtained the ancestral gift of the time pole, so his speed of comprehending the time pole will far exceed that of the Lord of Stone Eyes. Although it is difficult to comprehend the time pole, many super-perfect masters will never be able to comprehend the time pole to the realm of small achievement, but Yi Tian has almost no bottleneck at this moment, and it is very easy. Time passed slowly, and Yi Tian's time pole continued to improve. Before you know it, tens of millions of eternity years have passed. This day, Yi Tian found that his time was extremely small. You must know that comprehending the extreme way of time to the realm of small achievement is far more than comprehending the extreme way of time. The ancestors of the extreme way are too terrifying. Yi Tian couldn't help sighing. Having seen the sky-defying nature of the ancestral Fu, Yi Tian wanted to copy it to more ancestral Tao. However, the concept of possessing the ancestral gift of extreme Taoism in the world is probably too low, and there may not even be practitioners or creatures who possess the ancestral gift of extreme Taoism. However, there must be some extreme ancestors in the deep sea. For example, those who perfectly control the extreme realm of the deep sea palace of the extreme way, maybe some have the ancestors of the extreme way. Of course, he doesn't really want to contact those who perfectly control the extreme realm now, mainly because it is too dangerous, for fear of being discovered his duplicate body identity, it would not be good. Look for it slowly, don't force it, Yi Tian secretly said. After a minor achievement of the time extreme, it would be more difficult to upgrade to the realm of great accomplishment. Even with Yi Tian's comprehension and the time extreme ancestral gift, at least hundreds of millions or even billions of eternal years would have to be spent. Yi Tian didn't want to spend such a long time comprehending the time extreme. Moreover, it is meaningless to comprehend a time pole to the Dacheng realm alone, unless all the poles are raised to the Dacheng realm, the endless pole can be improved inconceivably. However, doing so would take too long. Therefore, Yi Tian intends to comprehend these poles. It is enough to reach the realm of small achievement, it is enough to raise the endless pole to the realm of small achievement, and he can let himself attack the perfect controller of the virtual realm. Next, learn about the space pole. Yi Tian decided. Extremely deep sea. On this day, Yi Tian finally learned that the demonic ape cemetery was about to open. However, this time, the deep sea palace does not allow any polar creatures to enter the main tomb of the polar demon ape, which is the burial place of the polar demon ape, the place where the bones are buried. If the corpse of a polar creature in the deep sea palace is still used by younger generations after death, many perfect controllers of the extreme realm of the deep sea palace will not agree, and even prohibit the opening of the demon ape cemetery. However, in addition to the main tomb, other places can be entered without any restrictions. The ape of the extreme Tao used to have very rich resources. There are too many good things, and most of them were brought into the cemetery. Therefore, many creatures of the extreme Tao are eager to enter the cemetery of the demon ape of the extreme Tao, so as to find treasures that can improve their strength. Not long after, Yi Tian also came to the cemetery where the demonic ape of the extreme Tao was located, no demonic thunder sea. The magic-free thunder sea is a very dangerous place in the deep sea of the extreme path. The rules of the extreme path here are very chaotic. The general super-perfect controller can't bear the rules of the extreme path here. Once they enter, they will definitely be severely injured. Only the top super-perfect controllers and the 3-level perfect controllers above would dare to go deep here. In addition, the magicless Sea of Thunder is also the domain of the Master of Lightning, the perfect controller of the real world, but it is a pity that not long ago, the Master of Lightning died unexpectedly, and other polar creatures entered the magicless Sea of Thunder, and this was discovered. Extreme Demon Ape Cemetery. Now, all the creatures of the extreme path also know a secret, that is, the master of Thunderlight was once the servant of the devil ape of the extreme path, and after the ape of the extreme path fell, the master of Thunderlight guarded its cemetery. If the Lord of Lightning had not fallen, this place would not have been discovered. No devil thunder sea is very good here. For those cultivators or polar creatures who practice and comprehend the extreme path of thunder, this place is very suitable for them. Although the rules of the extreme path of thunder are chaotic, as long as the strength is strong enough, it can be ignored. Chaos of coal rules here. 1. Yi Tian secretly said. Wow. Yi Tian entered the demonless thunder sea with the body of the void nether sparrow, and the endless extreme rules bombarded Yi Tian's body without any influence on him. After all, the cloned body of this void nether sparrow has also been cultivated by Yi Tian to the realm of a super-perfect controller, and it also has the ancestral gift of the nether body, which has further potential. With the realm of the body of this void ghost, the strength it exerts is not weaker than the body. Of course, Yi Tian's strength was mediocre compared to some extreme creatures who came here. Because among the extremist creatures who came here, they possess the perfect controller of the virtual realm and even the perfect controller of the real realm. Compared with them, Yi Tian's strength was much worse. As long as you enter the purpose of the extreme demon ape, you will not lose money if you gain something. Yi Tian secretly said. Soon, the entrance to the demonic ape cemetery was opened. Boom, the void split open, and countless extreme powers turned into an entrance. In an instant, many extreme creatures entered this cemetery, and Yi Tian also entered it immediately. As soon as I entered this place, I felt the suppression of elephants. The suppression of the extreme rules here is too strong. I am the perfect controller of the virtual realm, and my strength has been suppressed to a very low level. I am the perfect controller of the real world, and I have been suppressed. It's the extreme treasure of Lord Jidao Demon Ape Zhen Daoyan, this as Zhao kind of extreme treasure, plus the residual strength value of Lord Jidao Demon Ape, and the suppression of the magic circle here, even the perfect controller of the real world can't compete. If everyone uses the power of the extreme way to compete, the pressure will be reduced a lot. If you want to exert your full strength, unless the strength can be comparable to the master of the extreme way, compete with the master of the extreme realm. That is definitely not possible. This time, the perfect controller of the extreme realm is not allowed to enter. The most powerful one is only the perfect controller of the real realm. The perfect masters belong to the powerful ranks. Ha ha ha, I have comprehended a lot of coals, and the realm of coals is not low. The strength I exert here is very powerful. Yi Tian also used the power of time extreme Dao to fight against it, and as expected, the suppression was relieved, and his strength was exerted a little more. At this time, he thought to himself, if he unleashed all his extreme power, would he be able to exert most of his power? Be quiet. Yi Tian only showed a dozen or so types of coals, and then he began to go deep into the cemetery of coals and demons. Chapter 2042 Luck explodes the watch, a large piece of coal golden fruit. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Soon, a battle broke out in the demonic ape cemetery, and it was obvious that something good was found. And the two sides in the battle are the extreme creatures of the perfect controller level of the virtual realm. Yi Tian avoided them, and there is no need to participate. It has to be said that the resources in the demonic ape cemetery are really rich. Of course, these resources are not the resources of the extreme demon ape, but the resources that were slowly nurtured here after the fall of the extreme demon ape. After all, the demonic ape cemetery was once his old lair. It was transformed into a cemetery after his death. Strictly speaking, it is also a full treasure. In addition, no polar creatures have entered this cemetery for countless years. As a result, the resources here there are many resources that can be found at intervals. Along the way, Yi Tian saw some resources, no matter what they were, and picked them up without even analyzing the use and origin of the resources. In a short time, Yi Tian gained a lot. Sudden, Yi Tian came to an area, and this area actually had golden light spots. In fact, these are not golden light spots, but golden fruits, rooted in this 047 piece of void, absorbing the power of the extreme rules around them. Jidao golden fruit. Yi Tian was a little surprised. He didn't expect to see so many Jidao golden fruits here. If you look at the number, there are more than 300. What is the concept of 300 Jidao golden fruits? One Jidao golden fruit can be sold for 1,000 Jidao coins at the Jidao Deep Sea Fair, and 300 Jidao golden fruits are enough to be equivalent to 300,000 Jidao coins. What? 300,000 Jidao coins are also a huge number for those who control the real world in the real world. For the top forces of Jazia, 300 golden fruits are enough to make them desperate. Swish, Yi Tian crossed over instantly at a speed that surpassed the limit, and with a wave of his hand, he was about to take away the golden fruit of the extreme path here. At this time, another polar creature also came, and also shot. This extreme path creature is the perfect controller of the virtual realm. For this extreme path creature, there is no way to use the extreme path golden fruit to break the extreme path chain, but the extreme path golden fruit is of high value, and it is difficult to sell it. Imaginary resource. Therefore, the other party is also bound to win. And CJFJ moreover, they must immediately take away the golden fruit of the extreme path here, otherwise it will not be their turn when the perfect master of the real world, the extreme path creature, arrives here. A super perfect controller of the extreme path, dare to compete with me for the golden fruit of the extreme path, courting death. The other party snorted coldly. However, he underestimated Yi Tian, and more importantly, he forgot that this was the cemetery of the extremist demon ape, and the rules of the extremity here suppressed his strength, so his strength was very low. Of course, he thought that Yi Tian's strength couldn't show much. And the perfect controller of the virtual realm kills the super perfect controller, it is simply a piece of cake. This guy is the real body, and the rules of the extreme path are very strong here, and the perception of those extreme path creatures can't spread very far. If I shoot with all my strength and kill this guy, there will be no risk. Yi Tian secretly said, if there are many extreme creatures around, he will definitely not dare to use all his strength, but now there are only 2 of them nearby. Then go all out, Yi Tian muttered. Immediately, a variety of extreme powers emerged from his body, fighting against the rules of the extreme ape cemetery. In an instant, thousands of polar paths erupted. At this moment, the opposite polar creature was stunned. His head was immediately stunned. An extremist creature has mastered thousands of extremities. Doesn't a normal extremist creature master at most several extremities? If it contains the origin of that extremity, it will be very difficult to comprehend a brand new extremity. Don't know how many times. Therefore, among the extremist creatures, those who have comprehended more than 5 extremities are extremely rare. Even if there are extremist creatures who have truly comprehended more than 10 kinds of extremities, most of them have just comprehended them and are of no use. But thousands of poles were abnormal, breaking his cognition. This extremist creature was stunned, but Yi Tian didn't stop. Endless pole blade. This move is the strongest extreme control technique created by Yi Tian, using a lot of power. At this moment, Yi Tian showed his peak strength. And his own strength is comparable to that of an ordinary perfect controller of the virtual realm, and even stronger. And the ultimate controller of the void realm was suppressed by the extreme rules here, and his strength was very weak. How could he resist Yi Tian? Do not. This polar creature is desperate. He is the perfect controller of the virtual realm, how can he die here, or in the hands of a super perfect controller? He is not reconciled. Puff. The endless pole blade ripped apart the body of the pole creature, smashing and annihilating everything in his body. In an instant, the perfect controller of the virtual realm fell. I didn't expect that I would instantly kill this perfect controller of the virtual realm, the extreme creature. Yi Tian was a little surprised, but when he thought that the opponent was suppressed in strength, it was not surprising. Originally, he planned to kill the opponent within a few moves, but now it seems that he does not need it. Afterwards, Yi Tian took away the golden fruit of the extreme path here, then took away the treasure resources from the extreme path creature, and then smashed the corpse of the extreme path creature with one blow before leaving quickly. Soon, a few more polar creatures came here. After a careful sense, they shook their heads and drove away. The fall of a perfect controller of the virtual realm, if it is a big thing in the boundary of the world, but it is nothing at all here, no other polar creatures will care. Although there are a lot of resources born in the cemetery of the polar ape, they were all collected by these polar creatures in a short time. Next, is the real treasure of the cemetery of the extreme demon ape. Magic Ape Ancient Mountain. A group of extremist creatures poured into this place, and a dragon battle broke out here. The war quickly shattered the ancient mountain of demons, and a large number of extremist treasures and perfect treasures collapsed. An emerald green light tore through the void and fell in front of Yi Tian. Yi Tian caught this perfect treasure, took a closer look, and was a little surprised. High-level perfect treasure. Although the high-level perfect treasure is not too precious to him now, its value is still very high. Thinking that he couldn't even get a first-grade perfect treasure back then, but he didn't expect that he could pick up a high-level perfect treasure on the road now. Just when Yi Tian was going to grab some treasures, a terrifying battle broke out. Boom! 2 incomparably stalwart bodies fought in the cemetery. One of them, Yi Tian knew, was the Lord of Stone Eyes. Chapter 2043 The Hope of Obtaining Extreme Treasures. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Lord of the Gorefiend, this extreme treasure is mine, you dare to compete with me and seek death. The Lord of Stone Eyes was furious. Ha ha ha, Lord of Stone Eyes, although you are the perfect master of the extreme realm, but I also have a backer, so I am not afraid of you. Besides, the extreme treasure is the thing of the extreme magic ape, and anyone can snatch it. The demon lord said. Then let's see who is more powerful. The Lord of Stone Eyes said coldly. Boom. The Lord of Stone Eyes and the Lord of Gorefiend are constantly fighting, their strength far surpasses other extreme creatures, and the power of each blow seems to be able to severely injure or even kill the perfect controller of the real realm, and their strength has reached an unbelievable level. What a powerful force! Yi Tian was slightly startled. This is the strength of the perfect controller of the top real world. Even in the cemetery of the extreme demon ape, when his strength is suppressed, he can display such terrifying strength. Compared with the perfect controller of the virtual realm he killed, the two extreme creatures, the Lord of Stone Eyes and the Lord of Gorefiend, are the real horrors. Even if he can exert his full strength here, unable to shake them in the slightest, the strength disparity is too large. Suddenly, the Lord of Stone Eyes performed an extreme pupil technique, which instantly injured the extreme will of the Lord of Gorefiend. The two extreme creatures fought for a while, and the huge body of the Gorefiend Lord was beaten smaller and smaller, and the blood-colored light on his body became more and more dim. Suddenly, in the hand of the Lord of Stone Eyes, there is a pole-like treasure, pole-like stone spear. Death to me, the Lord of Stone Eyes said coldly. The pole stone spear cooperates with the master of the Stone Eye, and smashes all defenses, directly pierces the Blood Demon Lord, and even directly smashes a top super perfect treasure on the Blood Demon Lord. Damn the Lord of Stone Eyes, you wait for me. The Lord of Gorefiend instantly turned into a blood shadow and disappeared. The Lord of Stone Eyes did not pursue and kill the Lord of the Gorefiend, because he couldn't kill him, he would only injure him at the most. After all, the Lord of Gorefiend is also a very ancient creature of the extreme realm, the perfect controller of the extreme realm. It is not far from the perfect controller of the extreme realm. No one knows how many trump cards he has. Besides, the Lord of Gorefiend also has backers, and he does not dare to kill the Lord of Gorefiend. Soon, most of the resources here were seized by the Lord of Stone Eyes. Although the other extreme creatures are somewhat dissatisfied, their strength is not as strong as the Lord of Stone Eyes, and they dare not say anything. Next, Yi Tian also found a lot of good things, but two precious treasures, such as the extreme treasures, he never saw them. Even if I did see it, it wouldn't be his turn. Yi Tian's requirements are not high, after all, his strength can't be compared with those of the perfect masters of the real realm, even if he is a powerful master of the virtual realm, he can't kill them, and he dare not reveal all his extreme ways. Power. Therefore, he only expects to obtain some treasures that are beneficial to himself, such as the golden fruit of the extreme path, which can help him break the chains of the extreme path and greatly improve his strength. Gradually, some places around the cemetery of the polar demons were scratched over and over again by the polar creatures. At this time, the polar creatures broke the space-time passage into the inner circle and began to search for treasures in the inner circle. In the inner area, there are more battles, and melees between many extreme creatures break out at every turn. After all, once a good thing is discovered, who wants to quit? If you don't quit, you will have to fight. In the inner area, many treasures are shrouded in the formation, and it is difficult to break the formation, and it takes a lot of time. Moreover, some magic circles are more complicated and difficult to break. This was one of the old nests of the Jadao magic ape. The formations here should have been arranged by him. It seems that there are also extremely proficient formations among the Jadao creatures. 1 inch. Yi Tian secretly said. At this moment, he came before a magic circle. The laws here are very complicated, and actually involve 36 kinds of extreme powers. After many extreme creatures came here, they left immediately after a glance. It's not that they are not interested in the treasures here, but they feel that in order to crack the formation here, at least multiple polar creatures need to work together, not to mention whether they can find polar creatures who happen to be proficient in the magic formation. Even if they do find it, I'm afraid it will waste a long time. And the benefits of the cemetery are not limited here, so there is no need to slowly crack the magic circle here. But Yi Tian has comprehended too many extreme ways, so he is confident that one person can crack this magic circle. With so much Jadao power to set up the magic circle, there are probably a lot of treasures left here. Yi Tian thought to himself. So, Yi Tian began to analyze this array. With his understanding of many extreme ways and his own comprehension against the sky, the mystery of this array was analyzed by him little by little. Ask for flowers. Time passed slowly, and after a long time, although Yi Tian did not fully comprehend the mystery of this formation, he was able to enter this formation. In an instant, 36 kinds of extreme powers appeared on Yi Tian. These 36 kinds of extreme powers enveloped Yi Tian, and merged into a ray of light with a special wave. In an instant, Yi Tian relied on this ray of light, and when the formation changed to a certain moment, he directly penetrated into the formation. Come in, Yi Tian said excitedly. As soon as he came in, Yi Tian saw a mountain. This should be a treasure, but it was moved here by the demonic ape. Yi Tian thought to himself. At this time, a lot of treasures were bred on this treasure mountain, and Yi Tian collected them one by one. 0, 0. The golden flower. Yi Tian saw a lot of flowers growing on a cliff, emitting infinite golden rays of light, illuminating endless time and space. This kind of golden fruit can also help to break the treasure of the pole chain, and the effect of the pole golden flower is better, but the pole golden flower in the deep sea of the pole is many times less than the pole golden fruit. Hundreds of golden flowers of the extreme way make a lot of money. Yi Tian took away all the golden flowers of the extreme path here without hesitation. Not long after, Yi Tian took almost all the resources on this mountain. Mountain top. A gray boulder is constantly absorbing the power of the poles around it. Yi Tian stood in front of the gray stone and studied silently. If I'm not mistaken, this thing should be a polar gray stone. 1. Yi Tian muttered. He had browsed a lot of information about the treasures of the extreme way, including the records of the gray stone of the extreme way, but the content of the records was very small. But the extremely high value of limestone is very high, and it is extremely rare. Such a large extremity limestone has the hope of cultivating an extremity treasure. It is said that the super-perfect treasure that is being conceived, if the extreme way gray stone is integrated into it, the super-perfect treasure's extreme source can be transformed and promoted to the extreme treasure. Yi Tian said secretly excitedly. If this is the case, he can use this extreme way gray stone to merge into the super-perfect treasure in the void of the 9 rivers, and let it transform into a extreme way treasure. In that case, he would also have a treasure of the extreme way. Corpse. Chapter 2044 Time and Space Pole Monument. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Really good luck. Yi Tian quickly charged this piece of polar limestone. After all, he doesn't know whether there will be polar creatures entering here, so he must quickly collect polar greystone to prevent it from being discovered by other polar creatures. Once the extreme road greystone is exposed, it will definitely lead to the pursuit and killing of many perfect controllers of the real realm. The value of such a large piece of extremity greystone is already equal to a terrific treasure. And an extreme treasure is enough to make the perfect controller of the real world crazy. If he is in the world, he can guarantee that the perfect controller of the extreme realm like the Lord of Kangoo will do it. The realm of the world is too poor, so the perfect controller of the extreme realm is short of extreme treasures. Yi Tian felt that the Lord of Kangoo did not necessarily possess a unique treasure of the extreme way, and even if he did, there would be only one treasure of the extreme way. As this piece of extreme gray stone was taken away by Yi Tian, it meant that the benefits here were gone. So, Yi Tian quickly left here. The 060, time passed slowly, and almost all the treasures in the cemetery of the extreme demon ape were gone. And the place where the main tomb of the Jadao demon ape is located is not allowed to enter, otherwise it will definitely be punished by the Jadao Deep Sea Palace. In the deep sea of the extreme way, no extreme creature dares to disobey the order of the deep sea palace of the extreme way, unless it is a spy. Therefore, at this moment, there are not many areas that can be explored by polar creatures. Core Zone. A group of polar creatures came here, but unfortunately there are no resources here, but not long after, they discovered an extremely precious treasure. Time and Space Pole Monument. Moreover, it is also a high-level space-time pole monument. This kind of treasure is suitable for people to understand the time pole and space pole, and the speed of understanding and cultivation will be many times faster than before. For individuals, it is possible to cultivate the time pole and space pole to the Dacheng realm as soon as possible, or even the perfect realm, and greatly improve the strength. And for one side, the value is even greater. Although the Jadao Deep Sea has only the Jadao Deep Sea Palace and several forces under its command, there are many private forces. Therefore, everyone is eager to obtain the space-time pole monument. Even if someone is not practicing the time and space extreme way, it doesn't matter. Trading with the extreme realm perfect controller of the extreme way creature can exchange for unimaginable benefits. For example, it is more than enough to exchange a few extreme way treasures. When they saw this space-time pole monument, all pole creatures went crazy. However, the space-time pole monument contains terrifying space-time poles, and it is difficult to be included in space treasures. Unless you master the time pole and space pole of the perfect realm, you can take away the space-time pole, otherwise you can only hold it in your hand. Superior. This caused a lot of trouble to take away the space-time pole, and even if you grabbed it, it was difficult to take it away. The first time, the Lord of Gorfiend snatched the monument of space-time poles. Gorfiend Lord, put down the monument of time and space poles for me. The Lord of Stone Eyes and some other extreme creatures who perfectly control the real realm took action one after another, tearing apart the body of the Lord of Gorfiend in an instant and severely injuring the Lord of Gorfiend. And the time and space polar road tablet on the Gorfiend Lord was thrown out, and was caught by the huge claws of another polar creature who perfectly controlled the real realm. But soon, another extreme realm creature of the level of the perfect controller of the real world was snatched, but it was not saved soon. The battle here is too chaotic, and from time to time, the perfect controller of the virtual realm, the extreme creatures, fall. As for those ultra-perfect controller level extreme creatures, how dare you approach them, unless they are courting death. Now, Yi Tian also came here, but he didn't intervene. He knew very well that he couldn't intervene, and he couldn't take the space-time pole monument. Unexpected. The space-time pole tablet unexpectedly flew to Yi Tian's side. After Yi Tian sensed it, he immediately withdrew, and there were several ultra-perfect controller-level extreme creatures who had the intention to snatch, so he was not willing to withdraw immediately. As a result, the attack of the extreme creatures, who were the perfect controllers of the real world, struck, and these extreme creatures were instantly killed. These guys really don't care about everything, the weak are killed. Yi Tian secretly said. Although the powerhouses of the eternal ruins fought very fiercely, in most cases, the dead are clones, and they can be condensed again with little loss. But the extremist creatures here almost only have their own bodies and no clones. Once they die, they are really dead. It can be said that the infighting in the deep sea is too serious, and I don't know how many super perfect controllers and 3 perfect controllers have fallen. If the super perfect controller of the eternal ruins fell at such a speed, there would be no strong ones long ago. However, there is no shortage of super-perfect controllers in the deep sea of the extreme realm, as well as perfect controllers of the virtual realm and real realm. What they lack is the perfect controller of the extreme realm. Deep Sea Palace is worth it. Yi Tian ran to a far place and silently watched the battle. Unexpected. A real-world perfect controller of the extreme path creature accidentally smashed the space-time extreme path monument, and then in the continuous fighting, the space-time extreme path monument shattered many pieces. In the end, some polar creatures snatch a piece and escape. Although the value of the space-time pole tablet fragment is far less than the value of a whole space-time pole tablet, it is a profit to be able to snatch a fragment. In a short time, the fragments of the space-time pole monument were snatched away, and the Lord of Stone Eyes snatched the most. However, Yi Tian didn't have the intention to snatch from the beginning to the end. Soon after, some polar creatures left the cemetery of the polar demons one after another. There's no point in staying here any longer because there's nothing good here. Yi Tian also left here, and soon disappeared after leaving the demonic ape cemetery. 9 rivers are empty. Yi duplicate. It took a long time to go back here from the source realm sea to the eternal ruins, but now it's back soon. For a super perfect controller, this distance is nothing at all. At this time, Yi Tian brought back the extreme way gray stone, ready to integrate it into the super perfect sword of rare treasures here, thereby cultivating a unique extreme treasure. Hope it works, Yi Tian muttered. Immediately, he took out the extreme gray stone and incorporated it into the super perfect sword here. Boom! This super perfect treasure that is being bred slowly absorbs the power of the polar limestone, and slowly begins to transform, and even the time it is conceived has accelerated. According to such a breeding speed, it can definitely be conceived without a billion eternity years. Yi Tian was quite excited. Moreover, this super perfect treasure is likely to evolve into an extreme treasure. Of course, we can't see it now, and it will take some time to evolve slowly. The most important 5.9 right now is not this. It is my next common sense. If it can be done, then it will be earned. Yi Tian muttered. The source world sea, Yi Tian's body is here. Compared with before, Yi Tian can now enter the source realm sea, and as he breaks through to become the perfect controller, the rules of the Source Realm C are perfected, and even a wave of evolution can allow the perfect controller to enter the Source Realm C, of course, the native land. The perfect controller from the outside world still can't get in. At this moment, Yi Tian is here to try to copy the space-time pole monument. That's right, he wants to use the new ability of copying talent to copy everything to copy the space-time pole monument. If it is successful, it will be awesome. But whether it can be replicated, he is not sure yet. But he didn't want to copy in Wudao Pagoda, and he didn't dare to copy in the deep sea, so he could only copy in the safest and remote source world sea. Hope it works, Yi Tian muttered. Chapter 2045 The Great Achievement of Time and Space. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Copy. Yi Tian began to copy the space-time pole tablet. In an instant, a bit of the aura of the space-time pole monument filled out, and it began to condense to form a phantom of the space-time pole monument, which slowly became solid. Can be copied, Yi Tian said excitedly. However, the speed of copying is very slow, obviously because the level of the space-time pole monument is too high, so it is not easy to copy. Moreover, when copying the space-time pole monument, Yi Tian's power consumption is very fast. If the process of copying is maintained, a large amount of resources must be prepared, and it will take a long time. Otherwise, it cannot be reproduced at all. I thought I could replicate it in an instant, but it seems I've thought too much. Yi Tian muttered. Subsequently, Yi Tian began to consume a lot of resources, just to successfully copy the space-time pole monument. As time passed, a lot of resources were consumed, and some of them were polar resources, because Yi Tian's own polar power was also rapidly depleting. If it was not replenished, it would have an impact on his own foundation. He doesn't want to give up, so he can only copy the space-time pole monument at a cost. As long as the copy is successful, it will make a lot of money. This resource is nothing. Yi Tian said. 30 million eternity years had passed, and Yi 29 days had finally copied the complete space-time pole monument. Boom! The complete space-time pole monument stands in the human territory of the Source Realm Sea, and the mysterious and incomparable aura of the pole radiates out. Even if those people of the human race cannot understand the pole, but in such a link, the cultivation speed must be very fast. Yi Tian blocked the time and space poles layer by layer, and did not dare to leak it out, otherwise there would be a big incident. In the future, even if the human race wants to comprehend the space-time pole monument, at least it must be a half-step perfect controller, otherwise it is not qualified to comprehend. The space-time pole tablets in the cemetery of the polar demon ape are exactly the same. The new ability to copy talent is indeed too terrifying to copy everything, and even the space-time pole tablets can be copied. 1. Yi Tian said in surprise. Of course, once the space-time pole monument is lifted, it will be gone, so Yi Tian will not lift the space-time pole monument for a long time, even if he can no longer copy other treasures, it is worth it. Moreover, he does not need to refine the space-time pole tablet, but only uses the space-time pole tablet to comprehend, so the space-time pole tablet will not disappear. Only the auxiliary treasure of the space-time pole monument, the ability to copy everything, can really be brought into play. Subsequently, Yi Tian sat on the space-time pole steel and began to comprehend the space-time pole. During this comprehension, countless mysteries about the space poles emerged, and the speed of comprehension far surpassed before. What a terrifying comprehension effect! No wonder even those extreme creatures who control the real realm are desperately trying to snatch the space-time extreme road monument. Yi Tian murmured. With such a space-time pole steel, he can definitely cultivate the space pole to the realm of small achievement, or even the realm of great achievement in a short period of time. At the same time, Yi Tian is also using those golden flowers of the extreme path and similar treasures of the extreme path to attack the extreme path chains, striving to break more extreme path chains. In this way, Yi Tian's cloned bodies are all working hard to cultivate. After millions of eternity years, Yi Tian actually cultivated the space pole to the realm of small achievement. This kind of cultivation speed is too fast. Afterwards, Yi Tian began to comprehend the time pole. He possessed the ancestral gift of the time pole, and together with the space-time pole tablet, his speed in comprehending the time pole reached an unbelievable level. Therefore, he comprehends the time poles many times faster than the space poles. If he wants to comprehend the extreme way of space to the Dachang realm, he will need at least hundreds of millions of eternity years or even more time. Time pole comprehends to the realm of Dachang. Basically, no one is willing to cultivate an extreme path to the realm of great achievement among the super perfect controllers, because it is too time-consuming, and it does not help those who hit the perfect controller of the virtual realm. After all, the minor achievements of the extreme path meet the conditions. Cultivating to the Tao of great accomplishment is completely superfluous. But it didn't take long for Yi Tian to cultivate the time pole to the Dacheng realm, and in the absence of other opportunities, it took more time for Yi Tian to cultivate other poles to the minor level than the time pole to cultivate to the big success. Therefore, he naturally has to give priority to understanding the time pole. Once he realizes the time limit to the Dacheng realm, his strength will also be greatly improved, so spending tens of millions of eternity years can make his strength skyrocket, and he is naturally willing to spend this time. In the following years, Yi Tian worked hard to understand the time extreme. I have to say, the time pole ancestral Fu and the space-time pole monument are very effective. Time flies, and more than 30 million years of eternity have passed. This day, Yi Tian's time limit finally broke the shackles and realized the realm of great achievement. The time-space pole of the Dacheng realm far surpasses the time-space pole of the small-scale realm. If it is combined with the time-based pole control skills, the effect is extremely terrifying. At this moment, Yi Tian's strength skyrocketed. At the same time, Yi Tian used the golden flowers of the extreme path to break several chains of the extreme path. Today, he has broken 8 pole chains. For other super-perfect controllers, being able to break 8 pole chains is already an incomparably exaggerated number. In addition, Yi Tian also consumed a lot of resources and extreme treasures, constantly advancing his cultivation to the extreme of a super-perfect controller. Whether it is the perfect ancestral body of the endless pole, or the power of the pole and the will of the pole are greatly improved, although the strength of this improvement is not much, but it must be improved, otherwise there is no way to attack the virtual world in the future. The perfect controller. According to such a cultivation speed, Yi Tian would be able to attack the perfect controller of the virtual realm before too long. In the years that followed, Yi Tian's void nether sparrow cloned his body and kept condensing Ji-Dao coins to buy more Ji-Dao golden fruits in the Zondao trading area. Anyway, the 100 million eternal year is opened once, and the time is not too long. With enough Ji-Dao coins, Yi Tian doesn't care if he buys 060 coins. With sufficient resources, Yi Tian's cultivation base strength will naturally improve quickly. Before you know it, more than 900 million years of eternity have passed. At this time, Yi Tian had already hit 13 pole chains. Not only that, Yi Tian also cultivated the space extreme way to the Dacheng realm, and also cultivated the defense extreme way to the Dacheng realm. In fact, most of them are practicing defensive poles. He was able to cultivate the defense pole to the realm of great achievement, entirely because of the existence of the ancestors of the extremity, which is conducive to comprehension of the defense pole. Otherwise, Yi Tian would not be able to cultivate the defensive pole to the Dacheng realm at all. I have to say that without a treasure like the space-time extreme Tao monument, it is really too slow to comprehend the extreme Tao. If you want to comprehend the extreme way of fire and the extreme way of ice, if you want to cultivate to the realm of minor achievement, you must need 1 billion eternity years. Can't do it at all. If you can find more treasures like the space-time pole monument, that's great. Yi Tian thought to himself. Even if he can't find it, let him find some more extreme ancestors, that's fine. This day, another good news came, that is that the super perfection of the 9 rivers void has not only completely turned into an extreme treasure, but is also about to be completely conceived. Immediately, Yi Tian sealed off this area to prevent the vision from attracting powerful creatures in the world. Chapter 2046 Yi Tian and #039's first extreme treasure. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. 9 rivers are empty. Boom. The vision of the birth of the extreme treasure is too great, and fortunately Yi Tian blocked this place, otherwise the vision of the birth of the extreme treasure will definitely spread to endless distant areas. At that time, if it attracts other powerhouses, it will be exposed here. Soon, the power of the sword's extreme way converged, and a long sword was suspended in the void of the 9 rivers. I saw Yi Tian urging the power of the sword's extreme way, grabbed the sword with one hand, and subdued it in a short while. Extremely Taoist treasure, I finally have it, Yi Tian said excitedly. Afterwards, he began to slowly refine the sword, and after a long time, he succeeded in refining the sword completely. Destroying Tao Sword, this is the name of this extreme treasure, which contains the extremely terrifying sword's extreme way. Compared with the super-perfect treasures, the extreme treasures contain the incomparably terrifying source of the extremes, and have unimaginable benefits for comprehending the extremes. The super-perfect treasure can make a practitioner realize the ultimate way, but after comprehending the ultimate way, the super-perfect treasure is useless and can only be reduced to a weapon. And the extreme treasure is different, it can help a strong person to enter the extreme way and realize the minor or even the great accomplishment. Therefore, the value of extreme treasures is far from comparable to super-perfect treasures. In addition, as a weapon, extreme treasures can also greatly enhance their strength. With the extreme Taoist treasure of the Sword of Extinguishing Tao, I can completely use it to cultivate the extreme way of the sword to the realm of minor achievement, and it will take me a few more years to cultivate to the realm of great achievement. Yi Tian secretly said. So in the following years, Yi Tian focused on comprehending the extreme way of the sword. It has to be said that there is no such thing as a treasure like the space-time extreme Tao monument, and there is no corresponding extreme Tao ancestor Fu. It is indeed very difficult to comprehend the extreme Tao of the sword, even if there is a extreme Tao treasure. After all, the most important thing about the extreme treasure is to increase the strength, and assisting the enlightenment is only an incidental effect. Of course, Yi Tian was not short of time, and he had time to slowly comprehend. After more than 2 billion eternity years, Yi Tian finally cultivated the sword's extreme way to the realm of Dachang. In addition, Yi Tian has made further progress in the time pole, and the time pole of Dachang has already reached the peak time pole of Dachang, and it is not far from the time pole of perfection. This is the anti-sky effect of the time pole ancestral gift in the time and space pole monument. At present, in addition to thousands of entry-level poles, Yi Tian also has the time pole of Dachang Peak, the Dachang Space Pole, the Dachang Defense Pole, and the Dachang Sword Pole. The superposition of so many poles has made Yi Tian's endless poles reach the realm of entry-level peaks. And in so many years, Yi Tian's cultivation has also been raised to the limit of a super-perfect controller under the accumulation of countless extreme treasures, and he has also broken 18 extreme chains. It can be said that the further back you go, the more difficult it is to break the pole chain. For other super-perfect controllers, it is an extravagant wish to break one extreme chain, but Yi Tian has already broken 18, which is enough to make countless super-perfect controllers jealous. It stands to reason that Yi Tian can easily step into the perfect controller of the virtual realm, but he is not in a hurry. After all, the endless pole Tao has not yet entered the small achievement. Even if the other extreme paths have entered the Dachang, he will not use other extreme paths to break through. After all, the most suitable one for him is the endless extreme Tao. Furthermore, he wants to break all the 36 pole chains, which is the limit of the pole chains. Breaking the chains of the extreme path can only be done in the realm of the super-perfect controller. Once you break through to the realm of the perfect controller of the virtual realm, and the source of the extreme path is solidified, you will no longer be able to use treasures like the golden fruit of the extreme path to break the extreme path. Chained. Therefore, he doesn't want to make a breakthrough like this, and wants to make a breakthrough with the most perfect posture. Calculate the time, the extreme genius battle is about to start, there are only 100 million eternal years left, you can sign up. Yi Tian muttered. For Jia, the extreme genius battle is not only an honor, but also an opportunity to snatch away many resources. Although most of the super-perfect controllers will fall, and even the whole army will be wiped out, it is normal, but once they come out alive, it will definitely be a big gain. Moreover, all the super-perfect controllers of Jia have will clones, and only Jia creatures have no clones, so these super-perfect controllers are not afraid of death and naturally dare to enter. No Way Tower. Yi Tian registered through the Wudao Pagoda, and the Lord of Kanggu will report the registration. As for the specific report, Yi Tian is not clear. He only needs to know that when the time comes, the Lord of Kanggu will wait for Yi Tian and other super-perfect masters to clone to participate in the extreme genius battle. After the registration was successful, Yi Tian waited silently. As for the Lord of Time, they are preparing for the battle one by one, preparing more for this time's extreme genius battle. Just not long before the extreme genius battle, the Master of Kanggu, the Master of No Dao and other perfect masters of extreme realms summoned Yi Tian and many other super-perfect masters. At this time, the Master of No Dao opened his mouth and said, "This time the genius battle of the extreme way, there are some things that need to be warned. In addition to the Endless Master, other super-perfect controllers, including the Master of the Sixth Tower, the Master of Time, you are in the extreme way. In the genius battle, don't think about killing the extremist creatures, you must learn to persevere, don't be greedy, and after you find a certain treasure, you can hide it. At this time, a super-perfect controller said, "Lord of No Tao, we are just a clone of our will, there is no need to be so timid. Are polar creatures really that terrifying?" In fact, many super-perfect controllers in the world do not understand the polar creatures in the deep sea of the extreme way. Even if they have seen some descriptions in the classics, they will not have any intuitive feeling. Only when you have truly entered the deep sea will you know the horror of the deep sea. The extreme creatures are not scary, but they are more numerous than you, not several times, but hundreds of times or even thousands of times or even 10,000 times. The densely packed super-perfect controllers are besieging the extreme creatures together. You guys, how can you stop them? Unless you have a real and near invincible strength, you can fight against them, otherwise you should hide in peace. Although the last Jadao genius battle suffered heavy losses, some people still survived. However, there is one in this Jadao genius battle, all the super-perfect controllers in the world have all fallen. There are still a few more sessions, and only a few of the king's super-perfect controllers will survive. We really don't dare to let you participate in the extreme genius battle. This is not a battle, it is a death. I only hope that you will die less and get more treasures. What the Lord of No Tao said is very cruel, and also very depreciates the super-perfect controller of the world, but this is the truth. Yes, several super-perfect controllers nodded again and again. In fact, before, he was indeed a terrible creature, and good at a bow. But what the Lord of No Tao said is so terrible, they must also pay attention. But whether they value it or not, it doesn't make much sense, because their hope of surviving is very low, unless it is really bad luck. Of course, this sentence, the Lord of No Tao did not say. The Lord of Wu Dao and the Lord of Kanggu really valued Yi Tian, and they also hoped that Yi Tian would fight for the world, and in this extreme genius battle, he would severely damage the extreme creatures of the extreme deep sea. Chapter 2047 The Lord of the White Knight, the ancestral Fu of the extreme Tao of Light. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Extreme Road East Gate. This is one of the 4 portals that connect Jazia with the deep sea of the pole. Through these 4 portals, one can enter the deep sea of the pole. Of course, this portal is usually closed, with layers of blessings and seals, and is guarded by the perfect controller of the extreme realm. But on this day, the seal here was lifted. A super-perfect controller came here, some were brought by the elders and some were brought by themselves. The super-perfect controllers of the Wu Dao Pagoda came here with the Lord of Kanggu. Soon, a large number of super-perfect controllers gathered here, tens of thousands. But if compared with the super-perfect controller of the extreme deep sea, it is too little. After all, the extreme creatures of the extreme deep sea, as long as they don't die, can grow into super-perfect controllers. For polar creatures, the super-perfect controller is equivalent to an adult polar creature, equivalent to an adult among human beings. It is conceivable that there are so many super-perfect controllers of the extreme deep sea, the extreme creatures, and they are everywhere. It is also difficult for those descendants of extreme biological blood to grow to the realm of super-perfect controllers. At this moment, those super-perfect Control 060 people are very nervous. After all, they will soon enter the battlefield of the extreme genius battle and fight with the extreme creatures. And many super-perfect controllers, who have never even seen a polar creature, are naturally a little nervous. They are not afraid of losing a will clone, but they are worried that they will not be able to obtain benefits. Because the extreme genius battle is also an unimaginable opportunity, if it survives, the hope of becoming the perfect controller of the virtual realm in the future is very high, and it can even be said to be 100%. Time passed slowly, and soon a white-haired youth came out of nothingness. The moment he appeared, all the perfect controllers of the extreme realm showed a respectful look, even the Lord of Kanggu was extremely respectful. I have seen the Lord of the White Knight. I have seen the Lord of the White Knight. I have seen the Lord of the White Knight. A perfect controller of the extreme realm said very politely. The Lord of the Night nodded slightly. At this time, many super-perfect controllers were curious about the identity of the Lord of the White Knight. Anyone can see that the Master of the White Knight is definitely the perfect controller of the extreme realm, and he is not an ordinary perfect controller of the extreme realm, otherwise other perfect controllers of the extreme realm will not be extremely respectful to him, as if the juniors treat the seniors. Now, Yi Tian used his copy talent to spy on the Lord of the White Knight, and was immediately shocked. Extremely Dao Ancestor Fu. Yi Tian actually saw the great Dao Ancestor Fu from the Lord of the White Knight. He had only seen the ancestors of the extreme way in the extreme creatures before, but he did not expect to see the ancestors of the extreme way in the perfect controller of the extreme realm of the world. The Lord of the White Knight has the ancestral gift of extreme Taoism, and his strength must be terrifying. Yi Tian thought to himself. Immediately, Yi Tian copied the great Tao ancestral Fu of the Lord of the White Knight, the extreme Tao ancestral Fu of light. Copy. Yi Tian copied this extreme ancestral ancestry in an instant, and in this way, he possessed 3 sects of extreme Tao ancestral Fu. Immediately, Yi Tian communicated with the Lord of Kangoo and asked about the Lord of White Knight. Lord of Kangoo, what is the origin of this Lord of White Knight? It seems that the perfect controllers of the extreme realm are very respectful. Yi Tian asked. The Lord of Kangoo said, the Lord of White Knight is the palace lord of the eternal palace of Jadao Junhe. He is an extremely ancient perfect controller of the extreme realm. He participated in the battle with the deep sea of the extreme realm and killed 3 perfect realms. The controller, now that such a long time has passed, his strength is even more terrifying. Although I am also the perfect controller of the extreme realm, I am far from the opponent of the Lord of the White Knight. Among the perfect controllers of the extreme realm, the Lord of the White Knight the strength can definitely enter the top 10. The Lord of the White Knight is so powerful. Yi Tian was shocked. How terrible is the perfect controller of the extreme realm, and the Lord of the White Knight has killed 3 of them. No wonder these perfect controllers of the extreme realm are very respectful to CJFJ. This is the status that power brings. Comparatively speaking, the Lord of Kangoo should belong to the generalized strength among the perfect masters of the extreme realm. Soon, the Lord of White Knight said, this time, the battlefield where you will participate in the extreme genius battle is set in the Jiming Mountain realm. This is one of several top treasures located at the junction of the extreme deep sea and the end of the world. It is usually in a state of ban. Now opened, there are a lot of resources in it, and it is also your opportunity. If there is any excess, I will not say it, as long as you come back alive, it is victory. In addition, there is a top extreme treasure from the deep sea. There will be a list on the Dao Shijing mirror, which will record the killing list of the extreme genius battle. There will be a total of 1,000 lists. I hope that this time, there will be a super perfect controller of the world on the killing list. Name. If anyone enters the killing list, Jajia will give a generous reward. Kill list. Many super perfect controllers are full of desire, and they want to kill this list. But they are also very clear that the super perfect controller of Jia may not even be able to save his life, and it is very difficult to enter the killing list. At this moment, the east gate of Jadao released infinite rays of light, connecting an unknown place, that is the Jiming Mountain realm. The passage of the Jiming Mountain realm is open, you can go in. After every super perfect controller enters the Jiming Mountain realm, the landing position is random and there is no rule. After entering, they cannot leave for an eternity time period. Jiming Mountain realm, once it reaches the world, it will be rejected and return here. After the Lord of White Knight finished speaking, he let many super perfect controllers enter it. Swish, a super controller entered the Jiming Mountain realm. When all the super controllers are gone, these competitions begin to talk. You said that this time, how many of our super perfect controllers will come out alive? There were 36 super perfect controllers alive last time, right? I hope it can be more this time. Otherwise, it will not look good if it happens again and again. This year's super perfect controllers include super perfect controllers who have participated in many extreme genius battles, and their strength is stronger than before, so there should be hope of surviving. Strength is not the most important thing, it still depends on luck. If you are unlucky, you will be besieged by a large number of extreme creatures, and no one will survive. After all, there are too many extreme creatures who are super perfect controllers. They will also fight infighting, maybe this time is lucky. Lord of Endless, I hope you can have a good grade. If nothing else, you have to enter the killing list. In that case, our Eternal Ruins and Wudao Pagoda will be able to face a lot. The Lord of Kangoo secretly said. Soon, the slaughter of the extreme genius battle really began. Chapter 2048 Instantly kill 18 polar creatures. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Come in. Yi Tian stood on the ground of the Jiming Mountain realm, and immediately observed the surrounding situation with his copy talent. There is no danger here, there are only some special creatures around, which are very weak and not considered a threat. There are no powerful creatures in the Jiming Mountain world, and the strongest creatures are only super perfect controllers, and they cannot surpass the super perfect controllers here. The reason for this is because of the hands and feet of the perfect controllers of the realm of the world and the deep sea of the extreme realm, making it impossible for the creatures in the extreme mountain realm to break through to the perfect master of the virtual realm. If the creatures here can break through at will, then with the help of such resources, maybe a perfect controller of the extreme realm will be born. So how can they control the extreme mountain realm? Not only that, it is still difficult to cultivate in the Jimming Mountain realm, so the creatures here are very weak and cannot pose a threat. Entering the Jimming Mountain realm, the real threat is other super-perfect controllers. Yi Tian muttered. Of course, with his strength, he is naturally not afraid of other super-perfect controllers. There are countless resources in the Jimming Mountain world, and there are even such treasures as the golden fruit of the extreme path, and there are even other treasures of the extreme path. According to the master of Kangoo, there were super-perfect ones in the last few extreme genius battles. The controller has gained a lot of benefits. After coming out, it didn't take long to break through to the realm of the perfect controller of the virtual realm. The resources here will only be captured once for a long time, so there are resources everywhere now. Yi Tian is naturally very interested in these resources. If he can find enough golden fruits or similar treasures, he can break the chains of the extreme path faster. Of course, it would be even better if a treasure like the space-time pole monument could be found. Look for resources first. If you encounter a polar creature, then kill it. Yi Tian secretly said. Anyway, Jadao Deepsea and Jajia are mortal enemies. Maybe one day, Jadao Deepsea will invade Jajia again, so killing more Jadao creatures is naturally a good thing. Moreover, if you kill enough polar creatures, you can also enter the killing list and be on the killing list. There are benefits from Jajia. The black cloud gold stone ore vein is a good thing. It can be used to refine the array and arrange a magic array that is enough to threaten the super-perfect controller. Yi Tian quickly took away this ore vein. Next, Yi Tian found a lot of good things. Some treasures are guarded by the creatures from the extreme mountains, but these creatures are weak and can kill a lot with a wave of his hand. Therefore, Yi Tian found a lot of resources in a short period of time. No wonder they all want to enter the Jimming Mountain realm. There are too many resources here, more than the deep sea of Jadao. Yi Tian secretly said. Of course, this does not mean that Jimming Mountain is better than Jadao Deep Sea, but there are many Jadao creatures in Jadao Deep Sea, and they have been scavenging resources and consuming resources. Not many resources. The biological intelligence of the Jimming Mountains is not high, and the creatures here do not have a complete inheritance, and many resources are not known, so there are so many resources here. This day, Yi Tian finally encountered other extreme creatures. 18 polar creatures should be a team of polar creatures. Yi Tian guessed. These 18 extreme creatures are not weak. After all, the extreme creatures who dare to enter the Jimming Mountain realm are unlikely to be weak, and the weak dare not enter. After all, the extreme creatures do not have a second life, so the extreme creatures who dare to enter are very powerful, and if these 18 extreme creatures join forces, even if the Lord of Time encounters them, they may not be able to escape. Yi Tian did not avoid these 18 extreme creatures, and soon encountered them. It's a cultivator of Jajia, a super-perfect controller. Ha ha ha, we are lucky. Kill him and take away the resources he found. He'll be killed by me. I want to hit the kill list. Bumping the kill list. That's a bit difficult, but if you want to kill, you'll get less resources later. Okay, that's it. These 18 extreme creatures seem to have thought that Yi Tian was dead, so they began to divide the rewards there. Boom. One of the extreme creatures who looked like a cat man shot and killed Yi Tian at a very fast speed. However, just when he was about to attack Yi Tian, a hand of the extreme path, which was completely condensed by the power of the extreme path of space, instantly grabbed the extreme path creature. Then, click, this very powerful extreme creature was crushed to death by Yi Tian, his body was smashed into ashes, and only some treasures in his body were left, which fell into Yi Tian's hands one after another. Ask for flowers. At this moment, the 17 extreme creatures were all stunned. One-shot kill. Even if the 17 of them shot together, they may not be able to do it, at least they need a few tricks. After all, the one who just shot was the most powerful extremist creature among them, even more powerful than them. Escape. This guy is the top super-perfect controller in the world of the world. Ask for support. Let the more powerful polar creatures in the deep sea kill him. 1. These polar creatures thought to themselves. Immediately, they began to flee. However, in Yi Tian's hands, they could not escape. Time Pole Dao Domain. In an instant, this area was covered by Yi Tian's Time Pole Domain, which was a pole control technique displayed by the peak time pole power of Dacheng. 0, 0. Even these extreme creatures cannot break the time extreme domain, they are affected by the time extreme domain, and they cannot break free from the time constraints. To the outside world, they seem to be frozen in time and their speed became slow. Pole teleportation. Yi Tian seems to have become the ultimate speed, and instantly penetrated the body of a polar creature, killing it in seconds. In the blink of an eye, all 18 polar creatures fell. Too weak, no challenge at all, Yi Tian muttered. Immediately, he took away the resources of these extreme creatures. I have to say that they have collected quite a lot of resources. If they keep killing them like this, even if they don't search for resources, they can still get a lot of resources. The golden belt of murder and treasure, the truth of the ordinary world, is still suitable for use here. Yi Tian smiled slightly, and as he killed these 18 extreme creatures, he entered the killing list at once. After all, not long after entering the Jimming Mountain realm, he killed 18 extreme creatures, and naturally he was on the killing list. However, the names of the killing lists are changing too fast these days, and they are constantly being refreshed. Therefore, the list at this time is meaningless, and those who are the perfect controllers of the extreme realm outside will not care about such a list. Only after a period of time, the killing list will be stable, and the corpse will not be easily changed. Chapter 2049 The Lock of Cause and Effect. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. As time passed, the killings began to increase. Even between polar creatures and polar creatures, there will be killings. After all, there are only so many super perfect controllers in the world. If you want to enter the killing list, you will naturally have to kill each other. Anyway, there is no shortage of super perfect controllers in the deep sea. If most of the super perfect controllers are sacrificed to cultivate some perfect controllers of the virtual realm, the deep sea palace will feel very good. The Jadao deep sea palace wouldn't care about the lives of those weak Jadao creatures. With the passage of time, Yi Tian killed a lot of extreme creatures, and his ranking on the killing list has entered the top 10. As for the super perfect controller of Jajia who entered the Jimming Mountain realm this time, only Yi Tian entered the top 10, and the others belong to the extreme creatures. The Infinity Lord is in the top 10 of the kill list. 060. The Lord of Kangoo was surprised. In fact, he doesn't know the level of Yi Tian's current strength. He only knows that Yi Tian is very powerful, and he is almost invincible among the super perfect controllers in the world. Maybe there are some super perfect controllers who can compete with Yi Tian. Tian is comparable to, but absolutely cannot beat Yi Tian. Such strength, isn't it almost invincible? But now, how can this be described as almost invincible? You must know that even if the super perfect controller of Jajia is very powerful, it is difficult for him to survive in the Jimming Mountain realm, because he will be surrounded, and once his whereabouts are revealed, a bunch of Jadao creatures will be used. Almost all of the polar creatures that can enter the top 10 of the killing list have a bunch of servants. These servants are numerous. All killings are carried out by their masters. The purpose of the servants is to find other super perfect controllers. Therefore, with the help of servants, these extreme creatures can reach the top 10. And Yi Tian, the Infinite Lord, naturally does not have the help of other super perfect controllers, and relies on himself. Under such circumstances, Yi Tian can still reach the top 10 of the slaughter list. What a monster! As long as you can stay in the top 10 on the kill list, you're breaking records. The Kangoo Lord said excitedly. At the same time, the other perfect controllers of the realm of the world were also shocked, and even the Lord of the White Knight showed a hint of surprise. Of course, that's all. After all, the extreme genius battle is not over yet. Yi Tian's ability to reach the top 10 of the killing list can only prove that he is very strong and lucky. Nothing. If Yi Tian could still remain in the top 10 of the killing list at the end of the extreme genius battle, that would be enough to surprise him. Certainly. Even so, Yi Tian's fame has risen again, attracting the attention of those who perfectly control the extreme realm. Extremely deep sea. Some perfect controllers of the extreme realm of the deep sea palace are also watching the killing list. In the past, from the very beginning, the top 10 of the killing list belonged to the polar creatures in the deep sea, but this time, the super perfect controllers of Jiayuan entered the top 10. This thing makes them very upset. Contact the polar creatures in the Jimming Mountain realm, find the endless lord of the end of the realm, and kill him. A big man in Jadao Deep Sea Palace gave an order. Immediately, the order was conveyed. Although it is difficult to contact the polar creatures in the Jimming Mountain realm, it is still possible. Soon after, the polar creatures in the Jimming Mountain realm were instructed by the Jadao Deep Sea Palace to start looking for Yi Tian. Somewhere in Jimming Mountain, a group of polar creatures were killed, and soon several extremely terrifying polar creatures came. They belong to the Polar Corps under the command of the Polar Deep Sea Palace. The polar creatures who are qualified to enter the Polar Corps are all very powerful in combat. And they can crush other super perfect controllers, and they are very powerful. Not only that, they also carried the whole cards given by the high-level officials of the Jadao Deep Sea Palace. Among these extreme creatures, the leader is the Lord of the Dark Crow, who ranks at the peak of the Super Perfect Controller and can kill the powerful Super Perfect Controller instantly. Strong. At this time, the Lord of the Dark Crow took out a token. According to the call for help, they found the endless Lord of the world, but they couldn't escape. This token in my hand was given by the Lord of Yunlu. The secret treasure of cause and effect carries the power of the causal extreme path of Lord Yunlu. Only by using the power of the extreme causal path, the opponent's position can be locked through the causal relationship. Even if he is the perfect controller of the real world, it is difficult to get rid of the karma of the Lord of Yunlu. Yeah, that infinite Lord is dead, and he dares to massacre the extremist creatures in the deep sea of our extremity. It is simply courting death. Yes, we can fight within each other, but the practitioners of the world dare to kill us. That is the common enemy. Find him first. It's a great benefit. As long as we kill him, then we'll be rich. However, the strength of the infinite Lord is very strong. According to the news from the Deep Sea Palace, he has entered the top 10 of the killing list. We are definitely not opponents, so we must cooperate with other polar creatures in sufficient quantities. Besiege the Infinity Lord. Subsequently, these polar creatures began to contact other polar creatures. In a short time, a large number of polar creatures gathered together. Extreme Mountain, somewhere. Yi Tian had just found some good things and was about to go to other places, when suddenly an inexplicable force locked him from an endless distance. Yi Tian is no stranger to this power. The ultimate cause and effect. Yi Tian frowned. He naturally understood the ultimate karma, but it was only the beginning, and although the power of the ultimate karma was only a trace, it was too powerful. The ultimate path of cause and effect in the consummation realm. Yi Tian guessed. This kind of karma locked him, and he couldn't break it. Unless he reports on the cause and effect of the 5.9 realm of the perfection realm, it is also the ultimate treasure and shields the ultimate concentration. There shouldn't be a super perfect controller polar creature who has comprehended the extreme karma among the polar creatures here. It should be some kind of treasure, or carry the causal polar power of a polar perfect controller polar creature. Yi Tian muttered. Now, he is locked, and I am afraid that there will be a lot of polar creatures coming to kill him soon. Of course, if he killed the polar creature that locked him, he would not be locked. A large number of polar creatures came to attack me, which is also a good thing. I don't need to spend time looking for them. If I kill them all, I can get the countless treasures they have found over the years, which is definitely a great harvest. Yi Tian said with a smile. So, he is here waiting for the arrival of those polar creatures. Chapter 2050 The Siege of 800 Polar Creatures. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Soon, there were some polar creatures around, but they did not act immediately, but waited for other polar creatures. In a short time, the number of polar creatures is increasing, and they have also blocked this piece of void, unless the space polar path of the perfect realm can break the void and leave. Obviously, these extreme path creatures want to besiege Yi Tian. In their opinion, Yi Tian can enter the top 10 of the killing list by himself. His strength must be extremely terrifying, and he cannot be careless, so he must go all out to give full play to the advantages of the extreme creatures, that is, quantity. Killing Yi Tian by the number. Even if Yi Tian is just a clone of the will, killing it is meaningless, but after killing Yi Tian once, it can strike Yi Tian and cut off Yi Tian's hope of getting a big chance in the Jimming Mountain realm. This is enough. There are already 100 extremist creatures, and I haven't done it yet. I'm so timid. Yi Tian smiled. He is not in a hurry. There are more and more polar creatures coming, and he also wants to know what level his current strength has reached, but it is a pity that there is no object to fight. If there are only a few extreme creatures, there is no pressure on him. The more extreme creatures from 29, the better, so that he can show his strength. Time passed slowly, and the polar creatures gathered around were still increasing. If other super perfect controllers encounter such a thing, I am afraid that they will break through in the first time, and will not give these extreme creatures a chance to gather numbers. Far away, the Lord of the Dark Crow was very puzzled. It's strange that the endless Lord of the End of the World didn't escape. He should be able to sense that there are more and more polar creatures around him, right? Perhaps he is very confident in his own strength and thinks he is invincible. There are not many super perfect controllers in the world, and they lack knowledge. In addition, they came to the Jimming Mountain realm with willpower clones, thinking that they themselves it won't really die, so don't worry. Another polar creature said. The Lord of the Dark Crow nodded. That's right, we only have one life, but the way of practice in the world has 2 lives. They are not afraid of death. Sometimes, they really envy them. What do you envy? That is, it doesn't matter if the will clone dies. If the main body is dead, it will really die. If the war starts, their main body will not be able to avoid the war. Once they are killed, they will really be killed. Jia wants to cultivate to a super perfect controller. The probability is more than 1,000,000,000 times lower than us. We can become a super perfect controller in adulthood, and they are the ones who should be envied. Another extreme creature said. Ha ha ha, it is true, the life of the world is too fragile. Our starting point is the achievement that countless creatures can't achieve in the end. Unfortunately, it is difficult for our extreme creatures to become the perfect master of the extreme world, otherwise there is nothing. The end of the world. 1. The Lord of the Crows laughed wildly. After a while, 800 polar creatures have gathered around. The Jimming Mountain world is very large, and there are not many extreme creatures willing to come and kill Yi Tian. Everyone is looking for resources, and the extreme creatures from far away will not come here. If so many polar creatures kill a super perfect controller, even if they succeed, they won't get much benefit. Although the Jadao Deep Sea Palace gives rewards, how are so many Jadao creatures divided? Therefore, most polar creatures are still unwilling. Therefore, only 800 polar creatures came. But for these extreme creatures, isn't it very easy for 800 extreme creatures to kill a super perfect controller, and there is no accident? At this time, 800 polar creatures began to approach. I thought you were going to dispatch tens of thousands of polar creatures, but I didn't expect that there were only 800 polar creatures. It seems that you still underestimate me. 1 inch. Yi Tian's voice spread all over time and space, and all the polar creatures around him heard it. Arrogant, who do you think you are, and want to fight thousands of extreme creatures by yourself? We can easily crush you. A polar creature said coldly. Go ahead, Yi Tian said. These extreme creatures did not hesitate at all. They all knew that Yi Tian was very strong and must go all out, otherwise it would be a shame to let Yi Tian escape. Immediately, 800 polar creatures shot together, as if they could destroy all matter in this endless time and space in an instant. Even if the perfect controller of the virtual realm faced their attack, they would be severely injured. Just then, Yi Tian's perfect ancestral body broke out, and the terrifying aura made everything around him stagnate. Then, Yi Tian appeared a series of extreme control skills, and these extreme control skills were blessed on his body, increasing his strength to a terrifying level. Many attacks slammed on Yi Tian's body and were directly defended. They can't break Yi Tian's defense. However, Yi Tian's casual strike directly killed more than 10 extremist creatures. Bang bang bang, one by one polar creatures were bombarded and killed, like ants. Time and space pole domain. In an instant, these polar creatures fell into Yi Tian's time and space polar domain, which is a domain-like polar control skill that is stronger than the time polar domain. Therefore, it is difficult for them to escape. So, they can only fight. How can you be so powerful? All the polar creatures were stunned. This is the super perfect controller. The general virtual realm perfect controller is not so scary, right? At this moment, Yi Tian made another move. Polar Dao cracked blade. With one blow, the light of the cracking blade ripped apart the body of a famous creature, as if the light of billions of cracking blades was instantly slashed. 060 No matter which polar creature it is, even the top super perfect controller polar creature, can't stop Yi Tian's casual strike. In an instant, hundreds of polar creatures fell. Weak. 2. They seem to be a big difference from Yi Tian. In Yi Tian's eyes, they are really like ants. At this time, a polar creature took a shot with a broken polar treasure spear. He burned the blood of the extreme path, inspired all the source of the extreme path of the extreme treasure, and exploded a blow that surpassed his own peak, and he could only explode this blow. With one blow, he will have no fighting power. Shui Peng Dao spear technique, kill. Under this blow, the pole shattered, and all the rules were torn apart. If a weaker perfect controller of the virtual realm is here, in the face of this blow, there may be a risk of falling. The extremist creature that shot was the Lord of the Blood Peng, who is currently ranked 36th on the killing list. However, facing the lore move of the Lord of the Blood Peng, Yi Tian pointed to it, and the power of many poles converged in this finger, the 10,000 poles. This is also one of Yi Tian's extreme control skills. Yi Tian has created too many pole control skills, so it is a pole control skill. And Yi Tian's finger has gathered too much power, far from being comparable to the Lord of Shui Peng. G. Chapter 2051 All Destruction, Great Harvest. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Boom. As soon as Yi Tian pointed to it, he stunned the Bloodpung Lord, and even threw out the incomplete and extremely rare treasure spear. How is it possible that you have comprehended so many extreme ways? The Lord of Bloodpung was shocked. So many extreme powers are fused together, and the power that erupts is too terrifying. In addition, Yi Tian's own strength is far beyond him, so under this finger attack, his Bloodpung Dao killing technique is directly forced. However, not only that, he also endured Yi Tian's ultimate attack and killing. Click. The perfect ancestral body of the Shuipeng Lord began to collapse, and the origin of the pole began to shatter. He can't live. In the blink of an eye, the Lord of Bloodpung died. At this time, the expressions of other polar creatures changed drastically. The Lord of the Bloodpung is the most terrifying extremist creature among them. He has a certain reputation in the extremity deep sea, and he is also the descendant of a perfect controller of the real world. Although he is not a purebred extremist creature, his bloodline is not higher than the average purebred polar creatures. With the Lord of Bloodpung burning the blood, holding the incomplete treasure, and exploding all the power of the extreme treasure, a single blow can severely damage the ordinary perfect controller of the virtual realm. But even so, the Lord of Bloodpung was killed by Yi Tian with one finger. This strength is too terrifying. This is still the super perfect controller, shouldn't it be disguised by the perfect controller of the virtual realm? However, the perfect controller of the virtual realm cannot enter the Jimming Mountain realm. Puff puff. Yi Tian kept making shots, and in a blink of an eye, all the 800 extreme creatures here were killed by Yi Tian. Outside world, Yi Tian's ranking on the killing list continued to improve, and soon rose to the first place on the killing list. On the killing list, 2 names have disappeared, one is the Lord of the Bloodpung, and the other is the Lord of the Dark Crow. That's all. The Lord of the Crows occasionally enters the killing list and occasionally falls. But the Lord of Bloodpung is different, his strength far exceeds that of the Lord of Dark Crows. On the far side of the deep sea, when the Lord of the Bloodpung fell, the news surprised those who were the perfect controllers of the extreme realm of the deep sea palace. The endless Lord of the end of the world is actually so powerful. He killed so many polar creatures with his own power, and he also killed the little guy of the Shuipeng. He is another monster. You must kill him, otherwise he will really gain great benefits in the Jimming Mountain realm, and his rise will be faster. If there is a chance, let the perfect controller of the extreme realm who has sneaked into the boundary of the world take action, and instantly kill him, so that he has no chance to rise. Let's deal with the matter of Jimming Mountain first. Let more extreme creatures take action. Hundreds of extreme creatures can't, then thousands, tens of thousands. I don't believe that they can't kill him. Immediately, the perfect controllers of the extreme realm of the Jadao Deep Sea Palace continued to issue orders. The end of the world, the east gate of the extreme road. The Lord of Kangoo sensed the killing list, and was shocked when Yi Tian quickly entered the first place on the killing list. From the top 10 quickly to the first place on the killing list, he is very clear about what this means. This is definitely not as simple as killing a few extreme creatures, but killing a lot of extreme creatures, plus the extreme creatures on the killing list just disappeared, must have died in Yi Tian's hands. Just now, it should be that a large number of polar creatures were organized to besiege the Lord of Infinity in the deep sea, and the Lord of Infinity was killed. The Lord of Kangoo guessed. At this time, the other perfect controllers of the extreme realm were also extremely shocked. The first place on the killing list was an unprecedented glory. Although it has not been completely settled, it has also broken the record in the history of Jazia. Lord of Kangoo, congratulations on your Wudao Pagoda. I didn't expect your Wudao Pagoda to cultivate such a monster. Lord of Kangoo, the endless lord of your Wudao Pagoda, this time it can be said that this time has been overwhelming an era, and he has killed so many extreme creatures, and the deep sea of extreme Dao will probably be angry. They are not like our cultivators have fallen and will be cloned, and it will not affect it, but there are no clones of polar creatures. When these polar creatures die, they are really dead. Killing so many polar creatures is afraid that it will cause extreme deep seas. Do whatever it takes to besiege your endless lord of the Taoist tower. The extreme deep sea should not dare to enter the boundary of the world and invade the Wudao Pagoda. The price is too high. Just pay attention to it. However, the extreme deep sea will definitely not let the will of the endless master live in the extreme mountain world, otherwise they will lose a lot of face. It's a pity that even if the Infinity Lord has obtained a huge amount of resources this time, it is estimated that he will not be able to bring it out. If it can be brought out, there are so many good things, it is estimated that even us will be moved. Quote. These extreme perfect controllers said one by one. The Lord of Kangoo frowned slightly. If Yi Tian's will clone falls in the Jimming Mountain realm, the loss is indeed huge. There are indeed a lot of extreme treasures there. For Yi Tian, it can speed up his practice and increase his foundation. For example, to break the extreme chain, he needs a huge amount of extreme substances. And in this respect, he couldn't help Yi Tian. Therefore, the resources of the Jimming Mountain world are related to Yi Tian's foundation and potential. If Yi Tian's will clone falls in the Jimming Mountain world, the loss will be huge. I hope Yi Tian can survive, the Lord of Kangoo secretly said. But he also knew very well that if the extreme deep sea really wanted to let the extreme creatures of the extreme mountain world besiege Yi Tian at all costs, Yi Tian would really have no way to compete. At this time, Yi Tian was very happy. After killing so many extreme creatures, all the resources they found before fell into Yi Tian's hands, and there are many extreme creatures that carry a lot of resources themselves. For example, there are quite a few super perfect treasures he found. There are a total of 8 pieces, and when converted into resources, they are all an astronomical number, the king's word. So many super perfect treasures can be traded for Wudao Pagoda in exchange for a lot of benefits. In short, this time, it is enough to make me not need to worry about resources before entering the perfect controller of the virtual realm. 1. Yi Tian said with a smile. To him, these extremist creatures are simply gift-giving boys. Of course, he also knew very well that he had stabbed a hornet's nest, and those extreme creatures would never forget, and would definitely continue to besiege him. Next time, the extreme creatures who want to surround him will be even stronger, and the number will definitely not be only 800 bows. However, he is not lacking. The extreme creatures who want to kill me, the super perfect controller, can't do it. Yi Tian muttered. Up to now, he has not really exploded his full strength. Therefore, he is looking forward to these polar creatures to besiege him. Chapter 2052 Jimming Mountain, and then fight against the extreme creatures. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Yi Tian did not continue to wait for those extreme creatures to gather. There are many treasures in the extreme mountain world, he does not want to waste time. After scraping the resources of these extreme creatures, he left here and continued to search for resources. Although, the resources he has obtained now are enough for him to attack the perfect controller of the virtual realm, but who would dislike having too many resources? It is not easy for the polar creatures to gather together. After all, they are not united with each other. It is necessary to negotiate with the deep sea palace of the extreme way, and then give the conditions enough to make these polar creatures work together. Therefore, in a short period of time, Yi Tian will not encounter the second siege. Extreme Mountain. Extreme Mount. This is the core of the Jimming Mountain realm, and it is also the place with the most resources, but at the beginning, no polar creatures and super perfect controllers will come here, because they can't get in. Jimming Mountain contains an incomparably terrifying power. This power turns into a kind of light to protect Jimming Mountain. This light is also called the power of Jimming. This kind of power of extreme light protects Mount Jimming, and no matter how many super perfect controllers break into it, they will be smashed by the power of extreme light and turned into nothingness. The super perfect controllers must wait until the power of Jimming dissipates before they dare to enter Jimming Mountain. But even so, they did not dare to fight in Jimming 060 Mountain, because once the power of Jimming was triggered, they would still be killed by the power of Jimming. All the polar creatures and super perfect controllers who entered Jimming Mountain were very careful, and they also left Jimming Mountain when they wanted to fight. And in Jimming Mountain, the most feared thing of the extreme creatures is the super perfect controller of Jajia, so the super perfect controller of Jajia is not afraid of death, and the critical moment will really perish together, triggering the power of Jimming. But the extreme creatures dare not mess around. Therefore, the extreme creatures will block this place and prevent the extreme creatures of the world from coming here. If the super perfect controller of the world comes, they will definitely be besieged and killed. In the past, this place has been reduced to a treasure land for the extreme creatures, and the super perfect controllers of the realm of the world can't get any benefits at all. This day, the power of extreme light gradually dissipated, and many extreme creatures came here, which led to fewer extreme creatures gathering together to attack Yi Tian. After all, they all want to obtain the resources of Jimming Mountain. How can they kill Yi Tian when they have time? As for whether Yi Tian will come here, they are not afraid. There are so many extreme creatures here, tens of thousands. Once Yi Tian comes, he will die. However, Yi Tian CJFJ really came. Jimming Mountain. Yi Tian looked at Jimming Mountain in the distance, with some anticipation in his heart. It is said that Jimming Mountain has the most resources, and it is even possible to give birth to extreme treasures, and even to give birth to treasures that are needed by those who perfectly control the extreme realm. He was naturally interested in such a treasure. Of course, if he wants to enter Jimming Mountain, he will definitely meet these extreme creatures. But it doesn't matter, as long as these extreme creatures are terrified, they will give up and will not fight him desperately. Time passed slowly, and the power of Jimming Mountain became less and less, and it became more and more dim. Finally on this day, the power of Jimming dissipated, and it was possible to enter Jimming Mountain. Wow! One by one polar creatures poured into Jimming Mountain. After all, the first to enter, you can be the first to gain benefits. And at this time, Yi Tian also moved. But just when Yi Tian was about to enter Jimming Mountain, there were densely packed polar creatures around. Obviously, Yi Tian was discovered long ago. In fact, Yi Tian didn't think that his position could be concealed either. With the existence of the secret treasure of karma, he could lock his position. If you want to enter Jimming Mountain, then kill. Kill. Yi Tian took action and fought against the densely packed polar creatures around him. The number of these extreme creatures is quite large, about 5,000. There are more than 5,000 extreme creatures that are comparable to the super perfect controllers. Such a terrifying number, those perfect controllers of the Wudao Pagoda are unimaginable, but now they are besieging Yi Tian together. Boom! A zodiac creature has fallen, and although their attacks hurt Yi Tian has too many means to save his life. There are a bunch of perfect life-saving ancestors alone, plus the densely packed zodiac control skills to save his life, make Yi Tian almost immortal. Every moment, dozens of polar creatures fell. In a short time, the corpses of the polar creatures were scattered all over the area. Suddenly, a zodiac creature ranked 6th on the killing list was pinched to death by Yi Tian, completely panicking the other zodiac creatures. Escape. These extreme creatures were finally afraid and did not dare to besiege Yi Tian again. Yi Tian didn't chase down these extreme creatures either. Right now, he was mainly looking for resources. Many extreme creatures were already looking for resources in Mount Jimming. If he was a little later, the benefits would not be available. Of course, he still took away the corpses of these extreme creatures first, sorted out the resources, and talked about it later. Immediately, Yi Tian also entered Jimming Mountain. The peripheral resources were almost gone, and he directly entered the interior of Jimming Mountain at the fastest speed. Although there are many resources in Jimming Mountain, no one dares to do it, so it is peaceful here. Entering the inner circle, Yi Tian sensed a lot of resources. When you see a resource, take it directly, no matter what the resource is. Suddenly, Yi Tian has seen a lot of golden fruit of the extreme path, although he is not short of golden fruit of extreme path now, but such a good thing is enough to exchange for more valuable treasures. The world of the world lacks such treasures as the golden fruit of the extreme realm, and even the perfect controller of the extreme realm would be willing to trade the golden fruit of the extreme realm with him. Swish! Yi Tian waved these golden fruits and took them all away. During this period, Yi Tian sensed a lot of extremist creatures, and these extremist creatures also sensed him, but they didn't do anything because they were worried about triggering the power of extremity. Deep in Jimming Mountain, on a mountain peak, many extremist creatures gathered here, their eyes fixed on a Taoist monument. Golden monument. They were all excited. This is a treasure similar to the space-time pole steel. Although it is not as valuable as the space-time pole, those pole creatures who practice and comprehend the gold pole are absolutely eager to obtain such a gold pole. Such treasures are even more valuable than extreme treasures. In case the trouble is, there is no way for this kind of gold and steel to be included in the void treasure, and it can only be held. And Jimming Mountain contains the power of Jimming, and they did not dare to fight, for fear of triggering the power of Jimming, so they stalemate for a while, not knowing how to choose. At this time, a zodiac creature said, "Everyone, how about giving me this golden zodiac monument? I'm willing to give some resources and share them with you." The other extreme creatures looked at him one after another and recognized him. Jadao Deep Sea Palace, the descendant of a perfect controller of extreme realm, the master of Fox Sun, but that perfect controller of extreme realm is also just an ordinary perfect controller of extreme realm, and his status in Jadao Deep Sea Palace is not high. Of course, for other polar creatures, this person's background is still very high, and it is not something they can offend. Chapter 2053 Grab it. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Lord of Fox Sun, this is a monument of the golden pole. The value is unimaginable, and it is not comparable to ordinary resources. If you want us to let it go, it is impossible. A polar creature said coldly. You dare to do it here? The Lord of Foxyong said coldly. We are stalemate here, it is undoubtedly a waste of time, there are many good things in Jimming Mountain, why is this? The other polar creatures also knew that they couldn't do it here, but they didn't want to leave, so they were very entangled. Even if some polar creatures are willing to give up, unless they all give up, the Lord of Fox Sun will not give resources. Can give up all, how is this possible? With the passage of time, some of the extremist creatures couldn't bear it any longer, and felt that they had no hope of snatching the golden monument, so they left directly. Instead of spending time here, it is better to go to other places to find resources. Maybe if you are lucky, you will be able to obtain treasures comparable to the golden monument. Far away, a figure appeared, it was Yi Tian. Golden monument. Yi Tian was a little surprised, he didn't expect to find a treasure similar to the space-time pulled-out tablet here. If he obtains this golden steel, it will be much easier for him to cultivate and comprehend the golden way. Of course, even if he couldn't snatch it, he could use the ability to copy everything in the future to copy the Jinji Dao tablet. It's still better to grab it, so that you can comprehend both the Ginger Dao tablet and the space-time Jidao monument at the same time, and the Jinji Dao monument can also be brought into the Wudao Pagoda, which will greatly enhance the strength of the Wudao Pagoda in the future. It is even possible to cultivate a half-step perfect controller of the creation of the extreme realm who realizes the golden extreme path. Yi Tian secretly said. Therefore, he must grab this golden monument. But once you do it, it is easy to attract the power of extreme light. According to what I know, the power of extreme light can only be resisted by a very small number of perfect controllers of the virtual realm, and most of the perfect controllers of the virtual realm can't stop it, let alone super perfect controllers. Yi Tian thought to himself. And whether he can stop it, he doesn't know. But it doesn't matter, he can copy a body, so even if he falls, it doesn't matter. Moreover, they will not reveal their identity. At most, they think that the real body has entered the Jimming Mountain realm, and it is the will clone that has fallen. Swish, Yi Tian evacuated here, preparing to find a safe place to replicate his body and come here again. In any case, the Ginger Dao tablet cannot be included in the void treasure, it can only be carried around, and it is easy to identify. Furthermore, these polar creatures are still in a stalemate, and it is impossible to break the stalemate for the time being. So, he has enough time to prepare. The Infinity Lord came just now. Some polar creatures frowned. It has to be said that they are extremely wary of the Infinity Lord, because this person's strength is too terrifying. However, this is Jimming Mountain, and the Lord of Endless is afraid that he will not dare to shoot. Forget it, he probably gave up and didn't dare to compete with so many of our extreme creatures. Otherwise, there are really a few extreme creatures attacking him desperately, triggering the power of extreme light, and he might really die. Some polar creatures have secret passages. Therefore, they did not stop Yi Tian. Time passed slowly. Not long after, Yi Tian had already duplicated a duplicate body, and this duplicate body immediately headed to the place where the Jimming Mountain Ginger Dao monument was located. This time, he is going to take a real shot and snatch the golden monument. The Infinity Lord is here again. The Lord of Foxyong frowned. Could it be that Yi Tian, the Lord of Endless, has not given up on the Ginger Dao monument, but does Yi Tian dare to take action? The Infinite Lord is here again, and the Jidao Deep Sea Palace can issue an order to kill him at all costs. Which Jidao creature is willing to sacrifice himself and die with him? If it is outside Jimming Mountain and wants to kill him, the price to pay is too high. It is said that thousands of extremist creatures are not his opponents, at least tens of thousands of extremist creatures are needed. Here, the famous extremist creatures have the hope of perishing with him. The Lord of Foxyong said. Master of Foxyong, why don't you go and die with him? Another polar creature said coldly. Perish together. Who would? Although they all knew that sacrificing an extreme creature to kill Yi Tian was the best decision, no extreme creature would be willing. After all, they only have one life, but Yi Tian has 2 lives. Of course, very few extreme creatures have special talents, so they have clones, but the fall of clones is also very costly. Moreover, such polar creatures will almost never reveal their ability to have clones. And it's hard to say whether there are such extreme creatures here, and even if there are, it is impossible to stand up. At this moment, Yi Tian stepped over in an instant, aiming directly at the Jin Jiji Dao monument. Court death. A polar creature was furious. They didn't attack Yi Tian, but Yi Tian dared to directly snatch the Jin Jiji Dao tablet, did they really dare not do it? In an instant, these extreme creatures intercepted in front of Yi Tian. However, they didn't shoot, they waited for Yi Tian to shoot. For flowers, if Yi Tian's hand, then one perish. They didn't believe that Yi Tian dared to make a move. After all, according to what they knew, Yi Tian had obtained an unknown amount of resources, and his net worth was higher than that of some of the most perfect controllers in Jazia. Once the will clone falls, Yi Tian's loss is too great. Therefore, they didn't feel that Yi Tian really dared to do it. Ha ha ha, do you think I dare not do it? Yi Tian sneered secretly. Boom, the time-space polar domain erupted, covering a polar creature. Yi Tian didn't care about power, but covered this area as much as possible. Immediately, the power exploded, covering all polar creatures. At this moment, all the polar creatures were stunned. Yi Tian actually made a move. 0, 0. Boom. The power of the white extreme light emerged, and a blow penetrated Yi Tian's body, but Yi Tian did not die, and his many life-saving abilities made him survive. Compared to Yi Tian, other extreme creatures were not attacked by the power of extreme light. But the other extreme creatures are weak, so they were smashed by the power of the extreme Tao and turned into countless fragments. In the blink of an eye, all the weaker extremist creatures were killed, and only a very small number of extremely powerful extremist creatures survived by relying on the secret treasure. Walk, they dare not stay here. Otherwise, if Yi Tian attacks again, they will not survive. What terrified them even more was that the power of the extreme light that Yi Tian endured was at least 100 times more than theirs, and even more, under such circumstances, Yi Tian had not died yet. This is horrible, I ran away, I thought you were going to work hard. Yi Tian sneered. Immediately, his body became incomparably huge, and he took this golden monument as a toy in his hand. Unable to receive void treasures, it can only be held like this. He did not go out immediately, but silently healed. In Jimming Mountain, he is very safe. If he goes out, those extreme creatures are afraid that they will all attack him and will not let him leave with the golden monument. Therefore, in the following years, his cloned body stayed in Jimming Mountain until Jimming Mountain closed. At the same time, the news that Yi Tian had obtained the golden extreme Tao monument spread among the extreme creatures, but none of the extreme creatures attacked Yi Tian, just waiting for the moment Yi Tian left Jimming Mountain. He shot. The opening time of Jimming Mountain will not be very long, so Yi Tian must get the corpse. Chapter 2054 Extremely White Grass. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Don't dare to do it. Yi Tian saw many polar creatures peeping around, but did not dare to approach. He was also too lazy to hunt down these extreme creatures, and continued to search for resources in Jimming Mountain. It's a pity that no treasures like the Jinjerji Dao steel have been found. In fact, it is already luck to be able to breed a golden monument. If several such treasures are conceived at one time, it is not normal. The pole monument is gone, but the treasures of the pole level are not absent. This day, some polar creatures found a grass emitting white light, which was a treasure. But when the polar creature wanted to take away the grass, white light entered the body, and the polar creature instantly turned into ashes. Soon, a lot of extreme creatures gathered here. Yi Tian also came here, but no one dared to take this grass. This is a very white grass, and I didn't expect another one to be born. The Lord of Foxyong was shocked by 060. His face showed longing and urgent needs, but he did not dare to go forward. Extreme on grass. Many polar creatures are unknown, so they don't know what kind of treasure this is. At this time, a polar creature revealed the origin of the polar white grass. Before the 5th Jadao Genius battle, the jade white grass was discovered. This is a good thing that is no less than the golden monument, and it is extremely valuable to a single Arctic creature, far from the golden extreme. The monument is comparable. After all, the golden steel is more valuable to a party, but the white grass is a resource that can only benefit a single zodiac creature. Jimming Bayakao was only born in Jimming Mountain, and it contains a trace of light. Path of light. What is the use of a ray of light in the extreme way? Many polar life creatures are puzzled. The extremist creature continued to explain. The ray of light I'm talking about is not the ordinary ray of light. You all know that the extremity is divided into entry, small success, great success, and perfection, but above perfection, there is another realm, which is also the realm pursued by many extremist creatures who are the perfect controllers of the extreme realm, and that is the extreme realm. The extreme realm is beyond the perfect realm, but it is too difficult to comprehend an extreme realm to the extreme realm. It's too big, it's almost impossible, and the white grass contains a trace of extreme light. For us, this grass is of little value, and we can't even touch it. Where is the qualification for refining? But for those high-level perfect controllers of the extreme realm, the value of the extreme white grass is very high, and they are absolutely willing to pay a huge price to buy it. A single white grass is not enough for them to comprehend the extreme light of the extreme level, right? A polar creature questioned. Ha ha ha, it's true that a single plant of the white grass is not enough, but what if it succeeds? Treasures like the Ginger Ji Dao tablet are no longer valuable to those existences, but the white grass is valuable. So they are willing to pay more treasures to buy. It's a pity, I don't have time to take this extremely on white grass. The extreme creature said with a smile. At this time, the Lord of Huyang looked at Yi Tian's location, the endless Lord of the end of the world. You are here, why don't you try picking the white grass? The other extreme creatures also looked at Yi Tian, very vigilant, and had the idea of running away at any time. Of course, they also hoped that Yi Tian would go to pick the white grass, and then be killed by the extreme light of the white grass. Even a trace of extreme light is not something that a super-perfect controller can contend with. No way tower. Yi Tian is consulting the Lord of Kangoo. Lord of Kangoo, I saw Jiming Bayakao in Jiming Mountain. Yi Tian said, extreme light white grass. The Lord of Kangoo was shocked. This is a good thing, although I am not comprehending the extreme way of light, but I want it. For the perfect controller of the extreme realm, it is definitely an unimaginable treasure, and they are even willing to work hard. Unfortunately, you can't take the extreme white grass at present. With your super perfect controller's cultivation, at least you need to comprehend the peak of Dachang. Only by the way of the extreme light can you touch the extreme white grass. 1. The great path of light at the peak of Dachang. Yi Tian shook his head, he couldn't do it at present, and he didn't have much time to comprehend the ultimate path of light. After all, it will not be too long before Jiming Mountain will be closed again. Lord of Kangoo, is there any way to take away the white grass? Yi Tian asked again. He sensed the power of the white grass. His strength is indeed very strong, but he can't bear the power of the white grass. After all, the power of the white grass can hurt him, not to mention the limit of the white grass. The power of light. The Lord of Kangoo pondered for a while, and then said, then there is only one way left, to create a secret technique of the extreme way, which can prevent you from being bombarded by the extreme white grass. But this is too difficult, even if it is to let you the perfect controller of the extreme realm who has understood the extreme way of light goes to Jiming Mountain. It is difficult for him to create such a secret technique in such a short period of time. Moreover, he must understand the power of Jiming Bayakao before he can create and touch it. Can't touch how to create. Lord Kangoo, I understand, thank you for your guidance. Yi Tian thanked. Lord of Endless, give it up, but before you give up, you can destroy the extreme white grass, otherwise, in the next session, the Deep Sea Palace will definitely cultivate a polar creature, so that he can inherit and learn the secret technique of collecting the extreme white grass. Of course, if you want to learn such a secret technique, the requirements are very high, and it is not so easy to cultivate. The secret techniques involving extremes cannot be taught in many cases, and can only be offered to a living being to practice. After all, the palace has obtained the white grass, and their understanding of the white grass far exceeds us. We can't get the white grass, but they can. The Lord of Kangoo said. If you can't get it, you will destroy it. This is the idea of the world. Although a plant of extreme white grass has a very low hope for a perfect controller of the extreme realm to comprehend the extreme light of the extreme light, but if it is truly understood, the strength of the extreme deep sea will be enhanced. This is a scene that Jia doesn't want to see. Therefore, the Lord of Kangoo hopes that Yi Tian will destroy the white grass. I hope to create the secret technique of collecting the onsen white grass, but it is too late. 1. Yi Tian muttered, time is a problem, there is not enough time for him to create. Even if he removes the space-time pole steel, chooses to copy the extreme white grass, and then uses the cloned body to test again and again, it will take a long time to copy the extreme white grass. At that time, the extreme mountain has long been closed. He doesn't want to wait until the next extreme genius battle starts, when he will definitely step into the perfect controller of the virtual realm. So, destroy it, Yi Tian decided. For him, destroying the white grass is just a loss of a resource. His original intention was to take away the extreme white grass and trade with the perfect controller of the extreme realm, but without it, there would be no 5.9. In the future, he can copy the extreme white grass anyway, and there is still hope that he can use the extreme white grass to comprehend the practice and realize the extreme light of the extreme light in the extreme white grass. With a decision in mind, Yi Tian no longer hesitated. Immediately, he came to the extreme on white grass and directly attacked the extreme on white grass. Stop. The extreme Dao creatures such as the Lord of Fox Yang were furious and wanted to stop Yi Tian, but when they thought that Yi Tian could withstand the power of extreme ons and would not die, if they took the initiative to attack Yi Tian, then they would be finished because they couldn't stop it. Therefore, these extreme creatures just shouted, and no extreme creatures really did it. Under the gaze of many extreme creatures, Yi Tian's attack landed on the extreme white grass. Although the extreme power of the extreme light of the white grass shattered Yi Tian's attack, a part of the power still fell on the white grass, causing the white grass to shatter. In this way, the treasure of the extremely on-white grass was destroyed. Chapter 2055 Horrible Polar Creatures. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. You actually ruined the extreme white grass. Many polar creatures were extremely angry. This is the white grass of the extreme on, the treasure that even the perfect controller of the extreme realm longs for. The value is so high, it is even higher than the value of the golden monument. Although it is useless to them, it can be traded with the perfect controller of the extreme realm. But now, it was destroyed by Yi Tian like this. If they were outside Jimming Mountain, they would definitely besiege Yi Tian. But here is Jimming Mountain, they dare not do it. Humph! Yi Tian snorted coldly and left directly. As time passed, Yi Tian found a lot of treasures, and the day when Jimming Mountain was closed was coming. It's time to go out. Yi Tian said lightly. Soon, the power of extreme ons will spread throughout the entire Jimming Mountain. Although he can contend against a small amount of the power of extreme radiance, once the power of extreme radiance spreads over the mountain, he will not be able to carry it, and will definitely fall. Certainly, he is also very clear that if he goes out like this, a large number of polar creatures will inevitably besiege him outside Jimming Mountain. Then we can only kill one big fight, killing them so much that they are terrified. Yi Tian secretly said. Outside Jimming Mountain, the dense number of polar creatures gathered here, just waiting for Yi Tian to come out. If the Infinite Lord comes out, he will surely die. The Lord of Fox Yang said coldly. With so many polar creatures, it is almost impossible for Yi Tian to escape. If it wasn't for Yi Tian destroying the white grass of the extreme on, robbing the golden monument of the extreme path, and collecting all the net worth of many extreme creatures on his body, there would be too many extreme creatures who wanted to kill Yi Tian. Today, the deep-sea palace of the extreme Dao is offering unimaginable rewards, so it is possible to gather so many polar creatures. However, what these extreme creatures don't know is that Yi Tian's other copy body has long since left with most of the resources, and it is not here at Jimming Mountain at all. Therefore, Yi Tian didn't worry about anything at all. Of course, he didn't want this replica body of Jimming Mountain to fall. After all, this replica body also has a lot of resources, and there is also a golden monument. Boom! Yi Tian walked out of Jimming Mountain and instantly sensed the densely packed polar creatures around him. More than 50,000 extremist creatures, you really look down on me. Yi Tian said helplessly. In fact, there are far more polar creatures entering the Jimming Mountain realm, but it is very good to be able to gather more than 50,000 polar creatures. After all, not all extremist creatures are willing to besiege a monstrous such as Yi Tian. All the extreme creatures are very clear, besieging Yi Tian must pay a heavy price, it depends on who is unlucky. Kill. A zodiac creature took action. And Yi Tian didn't use all his strength. If he did, he would show thousands of extreme ways, which would definitely shock all the creatures of the extreme way, and his secret would be exposed. Then expose 100 kinds of poles. Yi Tian decided. Boom! 100 kinds of extreme powers emerged on Yi Tian's body, including the time extremes of the peak of the Dacheng level, the space extremes of the Dacheng level, the sword extremes of the Dacheng level, and the defense extremes of the Dacheng level, and other extremes. All are entry. In addition, the endless poles of the entry-level peak lead these poles, bursting with unimaginable power. Under the outbreak of the extreme power, those extreme control skills made these extreme creatures bewildered. He actually comprehended 100 kinds of extreme ways, as well as several great-level extreme ways. The Lord of Fox Yang was dumbfounded. This is Yi Tian, the Infinite Lord, so enchanting. Moreover, Yi Tian's body is too terrifying, many times more terrifying than these extreme creatures. Boom! The war has begun. Although the attacks of the extreme creatures can hurt Yi Tian's recovery ability is too terrifying, and Yi Tian's attacks are also extremely terrifying, no one of the extreme creatures can't stop them, and they will die if they touch them. In a twinkling of an eye, a Zunji Dao creature was bombarded and killed, turning into a corpse and falling to the ground. However, Yi Tian is like an unbeatable little powerhouse, no matter how these extreme creatures explode their trump cards, they cannot kill Yi Tian. Unexpected. A silver light ripped apart time and space, smashed all the rules, and hit Yi Tian's body. Extraordinary treasure. Yi Tian was shocked. This turned out to be a real extreme treasure, not one of those incomplete treasures. Unexpectedly, the creatures brought in strange treasures. But if you think about it carefully, it is right that the extreme way creatures almost have only one life. If there is a extreme way treasure, it will naturally take it with you. Otherwise, if you die, the extreme way treasure will become an ownerless thing, and it will inevitably become in the future treasures of other polar creatures. Therefore, this polar creature naturally carries the extreme treasure. This time, if the other party is not facing a life and death crisis, it will not inspire the extreme treasure. It has to be said that the power of the extreme treasure is very terrifying, and it locks Yi Tian and cannot be avoided at all. Only resist, Yi Tian secretly said. Puff. This extreme treasure broke Yi Tian's layers of protection, and even the perfect ancestral body of the endless extreme path was pierced. However, Yi Tian did not die, but was severely injured. Death to me. Yi Tian bombarded that extremist creature with a single strike from the air, and this extremity treasure immediately became an ownerless thing and was taken away by Yi Tian. The Infinity Lord is injured, kill it. An extreme Taoist creature felt that there was hope to kill Yi Tian. However, Yi Tian had too much perfection to recover from the injury, and as the battle continued, the injury became less and less severe. With the passage of time and 060, more than 10,000 polar creatures have fallen, and other polar creatures are also injured. At this moment, the Lord of Huyang saw that the situation was not good and fled directly. He is really scared. Yi Tian is simply more terrifying than those top-notch perfect controllers of the virtual realm, and he cannot be killed at all, and his power is almost endless. It is a creature that breaks the rules of the extreme way. In exchange for the other top perfect controllers of the virtual realm, their strength has long been exhausted. Seeing that the extreme creatures that are not doing well are not only the Lord of Fox Sun, but also other extreme creatures, they also ran away one by one. This run directly made the other polar creatures lose their minds to fight, and they all ran away one by one. In a twinkling of an eye, there was no one extremist creature around, only the corpses of nearly 20,000 extremist creatures remained. It's great, and it gave me a lot of resources again. Yi Tian smiled. However, in this battle, he really consumed most of his strength. Even if he kept refining resources to restore his strength, he couldn't keep up with the consumption. If there were more extreme creatures and they worked hard, he would really be killed, consumed to death. Subsequently, Yi Tian collected the corpses of these extreme creatures. They all have a lot of resources, so many resources are enough to compare with his own net worth, even a lot more. After taking away the corpses of these extreme creatures, Yi Tian immediately escaped. Chapter 2056 Copy the extremely on white grass. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Jadao Deep Sea Palace. Many of the extreme creatures who are the perfect controllers of the extreme realm are very angry, and they have learned about the situation in the extreme mountains through a special way. Tens of thousands of extreme creatures joined hands to deal with Yi Tian, the Lord of Endlessness. All failed, nearly 20,000 extreme creatures were killed, and even extreme treasures could not kill Yi Tian, and were taken away by Yi Tian, a very unique treasure. How to do? Asked a perfect controller of the extreme realm. In the Jimming Mountain realm, you can't kill the Infinity Lord. Even if you really pay an unimaginable price to kill him, it's just a clone, its body kills. That's all. These extreme perfect controllers have agreed to this decision. Although it is very helpless, it is also impossible. Time passed slowly, and an eternity of years was coming to an end. This day, a super perfect controller was rejected from the Jimming Mountain realm, and they appeared at the entrance of the east gate of Jadao. And Yi Tian also came out. Yi Tian, congratulations. The Kangoo Lord was very excited. The first place in the killing list of the Extreme Genius Battle. What kind of glory is this? It represents that Yi Tian is the most powerful super perfect controller in the world and the deep sea of the extreme, and the true same level invincible. Not bad. The Lord of the Night also spoke. Number 1 on the killing list. Yi Tian is not surprised. After all, he has killed so many extreme creatures. If he can't enter the first place on the killing list, it is not normal. This moment, Yi Tian felt the gazes of a large number of strong people, many of which came from those who perfectly controlled the extreme realm. Obviously, he entered the first place in the killing list of the Extreme Genius Battle, which shocked these perfect masters of the extreme realm. But soon, many perfect controllers of the extreme realm noticed the golden steel of the extreme realm in Yi Tian's hands. This thing could not be collected as a void treasure, so it was naturally spied on by these perfect controllers of the extreme realm. Golden monument, a good thing. These perfect controllers of extreme realms are a little bit eager to move. Such a good thing is too valuable for a force, and it is comparable to many powerhouses. It turned out to be the Golden Pole Monument. The Lord of the Night was a little surprised. Jajia is not like Jadao Deep Sea. Maybe in Jadao Deep Sea, those who perfectly control the extreme realm don't care much about such treasures, but if it is placed in Jajia, they care. Everyone, the Golden Monument is the treasure obtained by the endless master of my Wudao Pagoda. Whoever dares to snatch it will be my enemy of the Wudao Pagoda. The Lord of Kangoo. He is very clear that many forces want to get the Ginger Ji Dao tablet. Although everyone is a force in the world, they are not united. Therefore, he is very wary of other perfect controllers of the extreme realm. If anyone dares to do it, he will definitely work hard. Fortunately, the perfect controllers of the extreme realm around them still did not do it. They felt that a golden monument of extreme realm was not enough for them to work hard with the perfect controllers of the extreme realm of the Wudao Pagoda, and it was not worth it. Moreover, if you really make a shot, you may not necessarily grab it. So, they gave up. Furthermore, the Lord of the White Knight is still here. If they dare to take action, they will not give the Lord of the White Knight face. Yi Tian, I'll take you back first. Your reward for winning the first place on the killing list will not be given out now. The Lord of Kangoo, he only wanted to bring Yi Tian back to the Wudao Pagoda as soon as possible, and only after returning would it be safer. Yi Tian nodded. Subsequently, the Lord of Kangoo brought Yi Tian and the Lord of Time back to the Wudao Pagoda. Along the way, although he received some peeps, no one who perfectly controlled the extreme realm did it. In the end, they reached the Wudao Tower safely. After returning, Yi Tian donated the Ginger Ji Dao monument to the Wudao Pagoda. Of course, the Wudao Pagoda did not let Yi Tian contribute such treasures in vain, and it was exchanged for the contribution value of the same value, which could be exchanged for many resources and treasures of the Wudao Pagoda. But right now, Yi Tian doesn't care about these things. Let's put the lotus flower of extreme Taoism first, and one more extreme Taoist treasure can be armed with one more replica body. 1. Yi Tian secretly said. Afterwards, he began to refine the undamaged extremity treasure that he obtained in the Jimming Mountain realm, the virtual silver shuttle. Not only does it contain terrifying attack power, but it can also be used for rushing. It can be said that the value of this extreme Taoist treasure is much better than Yi Tian's Tao destruction sword. That extremist creature is too stupid, possessing such a treasure of the extremity. He should be alone, make good use of the treasure of the extremity for cultivation and enlightenment, and should not participate in the incident of besieging and killing me. Yi Tian thought to himself. However, it was fortunate that the other party was stupid, so that this extreme treasure fell into his hands. Not long after, Yi Tian successfully refined this extreme treasure virtual silver shuttle. In the days that followed, Yi Tian used the resources in his hand to improve his strength, such as breaking the chains of the extreme path. He now has a lot of golden fruit of the extreme path, so breaking all the chains of the extreme path is not difficult for him. In addition, he also began to use the treasures of the extreme way of gold, began to comprehend the extreme way of gold, and strive to cultivate the extreme way of gold to the realm of great achievement. In this way, he can also comprehend the extreme path of light. After all, he has integrated the ancestral gift of the light of the Lord of the White Knight, and it is naturally very easy to understand the light of the light. The Sea of Origin. Yi Tian first lifted the space-time extreme Tao monument and prepared to copy the extreme white grass. The price paid by the extreme white grass is very small, and the time spent is also very small. After dozens of eternity years, Yi Tian has successfully copied the extreme white grass. The real glabra can be used for refining, but the glaucoma I copied is not the real glabra, so I can't use it as a resource to refine it, I can only comprehend it by force. A trace of extreme light. Yi Tian secretly said. Then, after Yi Tian's will forcibly entered the extreme white grass, he saw a terrifying force spread into his will. In an instant, Yi Tian's body was severely injured, but he also sensed the ray of extreme light contained within the kings of this extremely awning white grass. After trying several times, Yi Tian's copy body shattered. Afterwards, Yi Tian copied his body again and continued to come to enlightenment. At this time, he found that if he continued to comprehend the extreme light of the extreme light, he would also consume the power of the extreme light of the white grass. It seems that it won't take long for this kind of forcible enlightenment, and this very awning white grass will also exhaust the power of the extreme light of the light, and become an ordinary very awning white grass, which is worthless. Yi Tian secretly said. However, he doesn't have to worry about this problem. Even if the sorghum white grass is abolished, he can continue to copy one. Not long after, Yi Tian discovered that he could also accelerate his comprehension of the ultimate Tao of light with the use of the white grass. With the addition of the ancestral gift of the ultimate Tao of light, he would be able to comprehend the ultimate Tao of light to the realm of small achievement in a short time. It's so fast, I don't even think it will take me a long time to cultivate the ultimate path of light to the perfect state. Yi Tian said excitedly. Chapter 2057 Treasures of Will. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. This day, the ray of extreme light contained in the white grass of extreme on was finally exhausted. At this time, this extremely on white grass no longer has an attack type, and Yi Tian can touch it. Afterwards, he released the duplication state of this stalk of ons, and the stalk of sorghum turned into ashes. Then, Yi Tian continued to copy the extreme white grass, although it would take a long time, but he didn't care about the time. After a long time, the second extremely on white grass was copied, and Yi Tian continued to comprehend. In this way, as the years go by, Yi Tian's attainments on the ultimate path of light are getting higher and higher. No way Tower. The Lord of Kangoo sent me a message. Could it be that the reward has arrived? Yi Tian secretly said. He won the first place on the killing list of the ultimate genius battle, and naturally he has a reward. Although he doesn't pay much attention to such a reward, he won't let it go. So, Yi Tian came to the Lord of Kangoo. Yi Tian, the reward for the extreme genius battle has been determined. The Lord of Kangoo said with a smile. Lord of Kangoo, what is the reward? 1. Yi Tian asked. Don't worry, it's good for you. The Lord of Kangoo said. I know that you are not short of resources, so this reward is not a resource but an opportunity to gather willpower. A treasure of will. Yi Tian was a little surprised, it was the first time he heard this. The Lord of Kangoo explained. Yi Tian, the treasure of will is a secret of 060. The real advantage of our world and the deep sea, you should know what it is. Will, Yi Tian said. Although the polar creatures in the deep sea also have will, the will of the polar creatures has reached a very high level as soon as they are born, and they lack remodeling. Remodeling, this can condense the will to clone, one more life. If there is no will clone, the deep sea of the extreme way has already defeated the world of the world. Therefore, the will is the advantage of the world. Yes, it's the will. The Lord of Kangoo said. It's like the super perfect controller level, they have a lot of golden fruit of the extreme path. It is easier to break the chain of extreme path, the super perfection of our realm. It is good that the controller can break one chain of the extreme path, and they can break 10, or even 20. Therefore, they have a greater advantage in terms of the perfect ancestral body of the extreme path. But why is our world? It is still possible to block the deep sea of the pole, that is because of will. When you are the eternal master, it is the first big advantage to condense your will and clone. And the treasure of condensing will is the second advantage developed by the perfect controllers of the extreme realm of our world. It is like the white knight you have seen. Lord of the Lord, he condensed the treasure of will. Only by gathering the treasure of will, can our practitioners in the end of the world maintain their advantage. Just like the Lord of the White Knight, the strength is far beyond the ordinary perfect controller of the extreme realm. One of the reasons is that his will is very powerful. The Lord of Kangoo said. Lord Kangoo, haven't you condensed the extreme treasures? Yi Tian asked. It's condensed, but my will is very weak, so I won't say it. The Lord of Kangoo said. Then, under the explanation of the Lord of Kangoo, Yi Tian finally fully understood the treasure of will. Almost all of the will-shaped treasures developed on the Jejia side are tower-shaped, and it is not that other types of will-shaped treasures have not been developed before, but in general, the tower shape is the best. Once the treasure of will is condensed, not only will the will be compressed to a higher level of will, but it will also have an incomparably powerful defense. It's like a powerful existence that wants to erase your will, but once you have the treasure of will, you can't do it at all. Treasures of will can enhance defense, increase combat power, and more importantly, enhance will. At the beginning, there was only one layer of pagodas in the will, and as the will continued to increase, one layer after another of the pagodas would be added, so that the speed of increasing the will was much faster than before. Under normal circumstances, it is more difficult to condense the treasure of will than to become the perfect controller of the virtual realm. Many beautiful controllers of the virtual realm CJFJ have spent countless years without success, and even some perfect controllers of the real realm have not yet condensed the treasure of will. Of course, the perfect masters of the extreme realm of the world are all condensed with a special treasure of will, but some people have a strong will, and some people have a weak will, that's all. Yi Tian, your ultimate will is already very strong, far surpassing other super-perfect controllers, but if you rely on yourself, in the super-perfect controller realm, it is almost impossible to condense the treasure of will. But this time, there is hope that the reward will make you gather the willpower treasure. The Lord of Kangoo said. It turned out that many perfect controllers of extreme realms have joined forces to create a treasure land of will practice. If you practice there, the will be compressed unimaginably. Moreover, there is an inexplicable energy to supplement the willpower, so that the will never be exhausted. More importantly, there are still many shadows of the willful treasures condensed by the perfect masters of the extreme realm. Although the will of the perfect masters of the extreme realm is tower-shaped, there are still differences. Comprehend these wills. A strange treasure, or a special treasure that helps you to condense your own will. In a word, under many conditions, the success rate of condensing the treasure of will is more than 100 times that of the outside world. Yi Tian, under normal circumstances, only the perfect controller of the virtual realm has the hope of entering there, and you are the super-perfect controller, so you can enter there. You must seize this opportunity and strive for the super-perfect controller. If you reach the realm, you will condense the treasure of will that belongs to you. At present, in the entire world, there is only one person who has condensed the treasure of will in the realm of the super-perfect controller. The Lord of Kangoo said. The super-perfect controller is the only one who has condensed the treasure of will. Yi Tian secretly said. However, he felt that he could definitely condense. Not long afterward, Yi Tian followed the Lord of Kangoo to the true river of extreme Tao. The real river of extreme realm is the most powerful eternal world in the world, and it is much stronger than the ruins of eternity. There are more than 100 perfect controllers of the extreme realm here, and the Lord of White Night also comes from here. And the treasure land is naturally located here. If it is placed in other small places, it is really afraid of destruction by the deep sea of the extreme way. And put it in the real river of the extreme way, the deep sea of the extreme way will not dare to destroy it. After entering the real river of extreme realm, they shuttled several times and came to the world of emptiness. Here, 3 perfect controllers of extreme realms are guarding to ensure that the place is extremely safe. In front of a glorious portal of will, the Lord of Kangoo stood here and told Yi Tian, you can go later, I will go in. After entering, first go to gather the willpower treasures, first comprehend the ghosts of the willpower treasures, and wait for the special treasures to come. Enough insight, and then go to enlightenment. You can practice 10 billion eternity years in the world of nothingness, so you have enough time. Well, I see, Yi Tian nodded. Immediately, he entered the world of emptiness. And the Lord of Kangoo also left. After all, Yi Tian didn't know how long he had been cultivating, so he naturally wouldn't stay here for too long. If Yi Tian comes out, he will just come back when the time comes. Chapter 2058 All the chains of poles are broken. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. The void of will. As soon as Yi Tian came in, he felt an unimaginable suppression. This kind of suppression is not aimed at the flesh, but at the will. It is like compressing a sea into a drop of water. Here is the same effect, constantly suppressing his will. Of course, in the process of suppressing, a wonderful energy is integrated into the will to ensure that the will not collapse. Otherwise, if it is just suppressed and not restored, the will can't bear it, and it will collapse directly. What a wonderful place. If you stay here for 10 billion eternity years, your will can be compressed many times and become extremely strong. Yi Tian secretly said. Therefore, after entering the world of emptiness and will, there is no gain. Even if it is really impossible to gather the treasure of will, the will becomes stronger, which is one of the benefits. The world of nothingness is not big, but an ancient city. It's not that the perfect controllers of the extreme realm don't want to open up a larger realm of emptiness, but they can't do it. It is already the limit to be able to open up such a big realm of emptiness. Moreover, the nihilistic will world cannot bear too many creatures. Because of this, it is very difficult to enter the world of nihilistic will, unless there is a big background, such as the descendants of those who have opened up the world of nihilistic will, or they have made great contributions. For example, Yi Tian ranked first on the killing list in the extreme genius battle, beheading a large number of extreme creatures in the extreme deep sea, and made a huge contribution to Jia Jia, so he entered the will of nothingness with no background, boundary. Otherwise, how could he be qualified to enter the world of void will now, at least until the perfect controller of the virtual realm or the perfect controller of the real realm can hope to enter here. Yi Tian is now located in an ancient temple in the city, and this temple is the entrance to the outside world. Then, he walked out of the ancient temple and came to the street. There are not many people in this city, and it seems a little lonely. After all, the void will realm can't carry many people, so there are only about 10,000 strong people who practice here at most. There are many palaces in the world of emptiness and will, all of which are without owners, and every practitioner can practice in these palaces. In addition, there are many towers of will, and each tower of will carries some ghosts of wills. Soon, Yi Tian came to a tower of will and walked in. Boom! An illusory pagoda of will appeared in front of Yi Tian. This is a 6-layer pagoda of will. Such a treasure of will is not bad. After all, each layer of the will pagoda is very difficult. This is a treasure of will. Yi Tian began to comprehend. Although it is only a phantom, there is still the mystery of the pagoda of will. Moreover, the phantom of this will pagoda will be consumed. If there are too many people comprehending it, it will gradually dissipate. Unless its owner replenishes the will power, it can be maintained permanently. If it is really about to dissipate, the strong man can come over to replenish his willpower without wasting time. Time passed slowly. After Yi Tian comprehended this will pagoda, he continued to look for other will pagodas. After a long time, Yi Tian has comprehended a lot of will pagodas. Coupled with his understanding, he has a general understanding of the structure of will pagodas. Although each will pagoda is different, there are similarities. But Yi Tian is very clear that he still has no way to condense the will pagoda. It's not that he can't, but the willpower is not strong enough. If you want to condense the will pagoda, you must condense the will to a very tough level, otherwise it will not be able to form the will pagoda. If you slowly condense your will in the outside world, the speed will be very slow, but if you are in the world of emptiness, even if you lie down, your will quickly condense and become stronger and stronger, thus meeting the needs of condensing the will pagoda. Of course, Yi Tian can also condense other treasures of will, but the pagoda of will is undoubtedly the most suitable one. After all, it has gone through the trials of countless powerhouses. Therefore, Yi Tian will also choose to condense the pagoda of will. According to my understanding, at least staying in the realm of emptiness for hundreds of millions of eternity years can condense the will of the extreme way enough to try to condense the will pagoda. Yi Tian secretly said. Therefore, he is now slowly comprehending the phantom of the pagoda of will, and is not in a hurry to gather the pagoda of will. As the years passed, Yi Tian's path to the extreme light gradually increased to the realm of Dachang, and he was still progressing towards the realm of perfection. Due to the use of the extreme white grass for enlightenment again and again, coupled with a deep understanding of the extreme path of light, Yi Tian gradually created a secret technique of extreme path, which could allow him to touch the extreme white grass, so as not to be affected by the extreme light. The trace of extreme light contained in the white grass was killed. Yi Tian named this secret technique the secret technique of touching light. With the secret technique of touching light, Yi Tian could more easily comprehend the extreme light of the extreme light contained in the white grass. Asking for flowers. Before you know it, 600 million eternity years have passed. For other super-perfect controllers, the mere 600 million eternal years is not a long time, and there is not even the slightest improvement. But for Yi Tian, in these 600 million eternity years, his progress has been too great. 36 pole chains, all were broken. Yi Tian said excitedly. 36 pole chains, all broken, maybe no one in the world can do it, even in the deep sea of the pole. There are very few pole creatures who can do this step, because breaking the 3 there are too many treasures such as the golden fruit and other treasures needed for the 16 pole chains. In addition to breaking the 36 pole chains, Yi Tian also cultivated the pole of light to the perfect state. 0. However, it is too difficult to elevate the extreme path of light to the extreme realm. He doesn't have the real glabra grass, so he can't swallow and refine it, so just relying on forcible comprehension, the effect is naturally very poor. Moreover, even if there is a real white grass, there is almost no hope of comprehending the extreme light of the extreme level. Even for those who are in perfect control of the extreme realm, it is unimaginably difficult to comprehend the extreme way. Yi Tian naturally does not expect that he can do it now. Anyway, he was very satisfied with being able to comprehend the ultimate path of light to the perfect state. In addition, he has also comprehended the space pole, the sword pole, and the defense pole to the peak of Dachang. After the progress of these poles, Yi Tian's endless poles naturally improved to the realm of small achievement. Endless pole Dao Shaocheng, all 36 pole Dao chains have been reached, and the cultivation base has reached the ultimate super perfect controller. It can be said that Yi Tian has been able to attack the perfect controller of the virtual realm, and he has broken through in the most complete state. However, Yi Tian is still going to wait for him to condense the will pagoda before breaking through. Maybe there are more benefits. The compression of will is almost done, and I am qualified to condense the will pagoda. I hope it can be a one-time success. Yi Tian murmured. Of course, he also knew that a one-time success was almost unrealistic. Which strong man of the Tower of Will has not tried countless times? In short, if he can successfully condense it, he will die. Chapter 2059 The Four-Story Pagoda of Will. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. The Void of Will. Yi Tian began to try to condense the Pagoda of Will, and the extreme will on his body began to condense into a pagoda in a special way. The pagoda was very illusory at first, and gradually became solid. However, at a certain moment, the pagoda of Will experienced a violent shock and collapsed directly. It really failed, Yi Tian muttered. It is indeed unrealistic to succeed once, and he is not so defiant yet. If it weren't for copying talent, he might have died long ago. How could he grow to this level? Therefore, apart from his talent, he is no better than those super perfect controllers in other aspects. And the pagoda of condensed will has nothing to do with talent. In the following years, Yi Tian kept trying to condense the pagoda of will, and failed again and again, but every time he failed, he could sum up some experience. At this moment, Yi Tian has another way to gather the will pagoda faster, and that is to use the second duplicate body of 060 to desperately try to gather the will pagoda. Such an attempt would cause the replica body to collapse, which is death. Strictly speaking, the attempt to try the will pagoda in the world of emptiness is the safest way to try. It uses a very small number of extreme wills to condense the will pagoda in a very simple way. Even if it fails, there will not be much influences. But this kind of safe method will lead to a very low success rate, and the condensed will pagoda will also be very weak. Although it can be gradually improved in the later stage, the growth rate is slow. Now, after Yi Tian has a very good understanding of the will pagoda, he feels that he can condense most of the extreme will into the will pagoda and build a very powerful will pagoda, and the potential will be terrifying. The will clone cannot try to condense, it must be the body. This is also the reason why the super perfect controller dare not do this, otherwise, if he fails, his life will be gone. But Yi Tian is not afraid. The copy body will die if it dies, and it will be enough to copy another one. Therefore, this is what Yi Tian dares to do. Just do it. Anyway, I have a copy body, it doesn't matter if I try again and again. Yi Tian thought to himself. The Sea of Origin. Yi Tian tried here, and soon the first attempt failed. The clone body shattered, even if his life-saving ability was very strong, but the overall will was shattered, the physical body naturally could not be preserved, and there was no doubt that he would die. It's really dangerous, no wonder other super perfect controllers dare not try it. Someone has definitely tried it before, but this method is taboo. Yi Tian thought to himself. Subsequently, he tried again and again, of course, failed. The success rate of this method is too low. In addition, Yi Tian's replica body in the world of emptiness is also continuing to try to gather the will pagoda, mainly to accumulate experience. The two bodies condense the pagoda of will in different ways and combine with each other, which can avoid many mistakes. In this way, 100 million and 100 million eternal years have passed. Before you know it, more than 3 billion eternity years have passed. In fact, Yi Tian has been able to successfully condense the will pagoda, but only in the world of nothingness to condense the will pagoda, but whenever he is about to successfully condense the will pagoda, he stops quickly and makes the will pagoda fail. After all, he didn't want to really condense the will pagoda. Because once the will pagoda is condensed, it is not allowed to continue to practice in the world of emptiness, which is also to free up a place. Therefore, Yi Tian will not condense the will pagoda in the world of emptiness and he will stay here for a few more days. In the blink of an eye, more than 1 billion eternity years have passed. This day, the Sea of Origin, Yi Tian once again carried out the condensation will pagoda. This time he was very confident, so the last time he was only short of the last sliver to be able to condense completely. Let's start, Yi Tian muttered. Boom, most of the extreme wills began to condense and compress into a will pagoda. Gradually, a layer of the will pagoda changed from illusory to real. However, this is just the beginning. In a short time, the second layer of will pagoda also began to condense, and then the third layer. Yi Tian's current extreme will can condense a 3-level will pagoda, which is the most secure decision. If he condenses a 4-level will pagoda, all the extreme wills must be added, which is unrealistic. Therefore, he can only condense 3 layers of will pagodas at most. Once it is condensed, it is the 3-tiered pagoda of will, which is already something that other powerhouses who have condensed the pagoda of will dare not imagine. As time passed, the will pagoda gradually condensed to the 3rd floor, and became more and more condensed. After a long time, accompanied by a special wave, the pagoda of will was successfully condensed, turned into a hole, and began to absorb the energy of will to strengthen the pagoda of will. At the same time, Yi Tian took out a large number of extreme treasures to restore the will, and kept refining it, making the aura of the will pagoda stronger and stronger. It's done. Yi Tian stopped, his face was full of joy. Initially condensing the pagoda of will, he clearly felt that his will broke some kind of shackles, and he could continue to improve, and the improvement was very fast. For example, he has just condensed the pagoda of will until now, and he has refined a lot of treasures that can improve his will. At present, his will has increased by more than 10 times, and it is still improving. The pagoda of will is too terrifying. Originally, my extreme will has been raised to the current limit. To contend with the deep sea, the role of the pagoda of will is too great. Yi Tian muttered. This is also the creativity of many perfect controllers of extreme realms, which can create a pagoda of will, otherwise there would be such a situation. The road is always opened up, only by constantly creating, can we continue to make progress. Yi Tian said with emotion. Although he forgot the pagoda and did not immediately go to the perfect controller of the realm, he wanted to wait for his extreme will to rise to the current limit before attacking the perfect controller of the virtual realm. The years are like marks, and before you know it, billions of eternity years have passed. At this time, Yi Tian's extreme will has increased several times, but now it has entered the stage of slow improvement, and it is difficult to continue to greatly improve. In addition, Yi Tian condensed a layer of will pagoda. At present, his will pagoda is a 4-layer will pagoda. It's almost time for a breakthrough in 5.9, let's first let the cloned body of the world of emptiness condense the pagoda of will. Yi Tian said. Afterwards, the cloned body of the void will world easily condense the will pagoda, which is also for them to see, otherwise he will suddenly show the will pagoda in the future, which is not easy to explain. Moreover, only by showing talent can one hope to gain more benefits. For example, if he hadn't reached the 1st place on the killing list in the Extreme Tao Genius battle, he probably wouldn't have been able to enter the world of emptiness, let alone know the secrets of the will pagoda. Therefore, he does not need to hide too deeply. The void of will. After Yi Tian condensed the will pagoda, he was immediately detected by the void will realm, and was quickly rejected. At the same time, the news that he condensed the pagoda of will spread to many forces throughout the world. In the end of the world, the second super-perfect controller who condensed the pagoda of will was born. Single G. Chapter 2060 Breakthrough, the perfect controller of the virtual world. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Yi Tian actually condensed the pagoda of will. When the Lord of Kangoo got this news, he immediately went to Yi Tian to confirm it. After learning that it was true, he showed an unbelievable look. Although after entering the world of emptiness and will, there is hope to unite the pagoda of will, but the probability of failure is too high. In fact, many perfect controllers of the 3 realms have entered the realm of emptiness, but many have failed, and there are very few successful examples. And Yi Tian is a super-perfect controller, and the probability of condensing the pagoda of will is much lower than that of the perfect controller of the 3 realms. In the past, they also let many super-perfect controllers enter the realm of emptiness, but they all failed, so later they did not allow super-perfect controllers to enter the realm of emptiness so as not to waste their places. Before this, there was only one super-perfect controller who gathered the will pagoda, and now there is more Yi Tian. That's great, Yi Tian used his own ultimate breakthrough as the perfect controller. Now that he has gathered the will pagoda, he will definitely become the ultimate perfect controller in the future, and even among the ultimate perfect controller, it is extremely terrifying. Existence. The Lord of Kangoo thought to himself. The Lord of No Dao and the others also quickly learned about 29, and they were all very happy. After all, Yi Tian is a member of the Wu Dao Pagoda, Yi Tian is stronger, and the Wu Dao Pagoda's strength will naturally increase. Extremely Real River. The Lord of the White Knight was also surprised when he learned about Yi Tian's condensed will pagoda. As expected of the 1st place on the killing list of the Ultimate Genius battle. The Lord of the Night. Of course, although Yi Tian has a high potential and is invincible at the same level, he is still not qualified to enter their circle, so he just paid attention to it and stopped paying attention. After all, at his level, there are a lot of things to do. How can I pay attention to a Yi-Tian? There are many geniuses of the evildoer, but the one who really grows up is the real genius. If Yi-Tian does not enter the realm of the perfect controller of the extreme realm in one day, he is not qualified to become the top existence in the world, nor is he qualified to enter the circle of the perfect controller of the extreme realm. No Way Tower. After Yi-Tian met with the Lord of Wudao and the Lord of Kangoo, after chatting for a while, he said that he wanted to attack the perfect controller of the virtual realm. Lord of No Dao, Lord of Kangoo, Lord of Eternal Night, Lord of Sword Pole, I have now reached the limit of my cultivation, and I can't continue to improve, so I am ready to attack the perfect controller of the virtual realm. Yi-Tian said. The Lord of No Dao asked, Lord of the Endless, how many of your extreme chains have been broken? 36. Yi-Tian said, what, you actually broke all the pole chains? The Master of No Dao was extremely surprised. He had only broken 13 pole chains at the beginning, and he had spent countless years. Compared with Yi-Tian, he was simply too ordinary. But thinking of Yi-Tian killing so many polar creatures in the extreme light world, how many resources he has collected, it is estimated that there are many treasures like the golden fruit of the extreme path. Therefore, Yi-Tian broke the 36 pole chains, which is also a very normal thing. At this time, the Lord of Wudao asked, Lord of the Endless, how many golden fruit or similar treasures do you have on your body? If there are any, can you come up with some super perfection for the Wudao Pagoda? Controller. Also, I can take out some too, but I can't take out too much. Yi-Tian said, although he still has a lot left, there is no need to take it all out. After all, these resources may be used for other purposes one day, just like the human race has also given birth to countless eternal controllers under his cultivation, and even some of them have been born. A half-step perfect controller may one day cultivate a super perfect controller, and he also needs the ultimate golden fruit. Therefore, it is natural to keep some of these things. As for those super perfect controllers of Wudao Pagoda, they only need enough Jidao golden fruit to break the Jidao chain, but they won't really take out massive Jidao golden fruit to help them break more Jidao chains. Lord of Endless, the resources you took out, they have to take out treasures of similar value to exchange. The Lord of No Way said. Yi-Tian nodded. Anyway, it is non-existent to contribute Jidao golden fruit for free. Soon, when the news was announced, the super perfect controllers of the Wudao Pagoda were extremely happy, including the Lord of Time. The Wudao Pagoda can actually be exchanged for the golden fruit of the extreme way. The Lord of Time is very excited, his extreme path has reached the realm of minor achievement, and his cultivation has also reached the peak state of a super perfect controller, only to break the chain of extreme path. However, the golden fruit of the extreme path is too rare, and there is no place to sell it, so he has not broken even a single extreme chain. If he can break a pole chain, he will be sure to hit the realm of the perfect controller of the virtual realm. Soon, he learned where the golden fruit of extreme Dao came from, and it was provided by Yi-Tian. It seems that Yi-Tian has found a lot of golden fruit in the extreme light world, and there are still some left to take out. 1. The Lord of Time was amazed. He even had a guess that Yi-Tian had broken the 36 chains of the extreme path, otherwise it would be impossible to take out the golden fruit of the extreme path for other super perfect controllers to use. When he thought that Yi-Tian had broken the 36 pole chains, he was filled with emotion. He can't even break a single pole chain, but Yi-Tian has broken so many pole chains, the gap is too big. It's a pity that I didn't survive in the extreme light world, otherwise there is hope to find the golden fruit of the extreme path. The Lord of Time secretly said. Subsequently, the Lord of Time spent most of his net worth, and finally exchanged a few 060 Jidao golden fruit, which was able to break a Jidao chain. And other super perfect controllers have also exchanged the golden fruit of the extreme path, and then went to attack the extreme path chain. Seeing this scene, the Lord of Wudao and the Lord of Kangoo were very happy. With so many golden fruits of the extreme path, it won't take too long for the Wudao Pagoda. I am afraid that a few more perfect controllers of the virtual realm can be born. Moreover, the Wudao Pagoda also has a golden pole of the pole, and it will be very easy to give birth to a super perfect controller in the future. Nowadays, many perfect controllers of Wudao Pagoda have begun to practice and comprehend the extreme way of gold, and have given up other extreme ways. This day, Yi-Tian began to attack the perfect controller of the virtual realm, and the others in the Wudao Pagoda were not allowed to disturb Yi-Tian. From the super-perfect controller to the perfect controller of the virtual realm, it is to evolve the perfect extremist ancestor body into the extremity virtual body, so as to transform the body, the strength, and even the will of the extremity. Today, Yi Tian's potential is unprecedentedly high, and his foundation has reached an unimaginable level, so he can break through at any time, and the success rate is 100%. Breakthrough, Yi Tian muttered. In an instant, the shackles in the dark were easily shattered by Yi Tian. Boom! Yi Tian's cultivation began to transform and break through, stepping into the realm of the perfect controller of the virtual realm.